am the second vice president on the United Mutual, and I will be presiding over the meeting in the absence of the president and the first vice president. I call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the United Laguna Woods Mutual, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. Today, Tuesday, March the 14th, 2017, at 9:30 a.m. in the Laguna Woods City Hall Council Chambers, located at 24264 El Toro Road. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
At this time, I would like to ask Director Alcorcar to please lead us in the pledge.
Everybody please rise and place your right hand on the heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
I hope 3 years from now.
Thank you. We would like to acknowledge the media. And I was wondering, by chance, is the Globe here today? No Globe. And welcome everybody out there on TV6. Good morning. I'd like to thank the Laguna City for letting us use the Laguna City Chambers for the meeting for today. And I wanted to remind the directors, when you speak, about 10 inches away from the microphone. And when you come to the microphone at the podium, please speak into it.
No. 6 inches away.
Oh, excuse me, 6 inches away.
Don't get that close to it.
Anyway. Before an action item is open for discussion, a motion and a second must be recognized by the chair. After the board discusses the issue, the chair will open the floor for the audience on the immediately pending motion or resolution.
Point of order. Have we approved the agenda?
You're not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Go ahead, you're doing fine.
There is a maximum time limit of 3 minutes per member during the member comment period. There is a maximum time limit of 3 minutes for member comments on motions before the board. A member may only address the chair once each agenda item. Would anyone like to go ahead and approve the agenda?
I so move.
I'll second.
A second? It's been moved and
no.
seconded. Is there any comment?
Yes. On the agenda, number 10D should be March 6th, not March 3rd. C is correct, but D should be March 6th.
Is that correct?
That's not correct. We had 3 meetings that day, two open and 1 closed, and they were all March 3rd. We had no meeting on March 6th.
Is there any other comments? All those in favor of accepting the agenda? Thank you. At this time, we will have member comments. The members may address the Board of Directors regarding any item within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors of the Laguna Woods Mutual. There's a maximum time limit of 3 minutes per member, and a member may only address the board once during this period. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the members' forum.
Good morning. Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here representing the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village. Good morning and nice to be here. The Foundation of Laguna Woods Village recently held our yearly planning meeting. It was in February. There were 2 reasons: to review our accomplishments of 2016, to our mission, which is to provide temporary financial aid to qualified, economically disadvantaged, or at-risk residents of Laguna Woods Village. And the second reason was to plan our course for 2017. We have many gratitudes. First of all, it's for all of the residents who send contributions to the foundation. They send them for commemoration of birthdays, for bereavement tributes, and also for congratulations. We're also very grateful to the social services of Laguna Woods Village. They are definitely our partners in this mission. They send our consideration, residents whose needs are not able to be funded by sources that are usually available through the Social Services Department. And of course, they provide our confidential vetting of all recipients that we ultimately assist. Also, we want to cordially invite you to join us on April 27th at 6:30 p.m. in Clubhouse 2 for our public meeting, which is a celebration of the 20-year anniversary of the foundation of Laguna Woods Village. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Norma Benner, 2051, Unit D. I'm here to address something that I'm assuming I didn't see on the agenda, which is land use. Is that correct? It's not on the agenda for today?
It is, as far as my comments, the president's comments, we're just going to discuss it. It is not on the agenda.
Okay. I would like to give a rationale for allowing residents to extend into and receive exclusive use of some common area. It has been suggested that since not everyone would have this possibility, that it's not fair to give some exclusive use of some common areas. Is it fair that a friend of mine who lives in the village lives in $1 million home and I can't have a home like that? Is it fair that some of my friends have a garage, and some even have a 2-car garage? Is it fair that some have 2 patios? I think of us all as brothers and sisters, as friends and good neighbors, and I hope that since the proposed resolution would have all kinds of safeguards and as well as advantages, and that only a few could meet those qualifications, that that everyone in the village would consider the joy that those people would have in being able to extend their use into common areas that is not commonly used, not commonly accessed. I think of the song, "No Man is an Island, no man stands alone. Each man's joy is a joy to me." And I hope that as you deliberate, you think about the joy and the
Excuse me, I'm
usefulness.
sorry, your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dick Rader, 270D Avenida, Sevilla. The town hall meeting, which was recently held on whether the board should grant exclusive use of common area to residents for their own personal benefit, is going to be replayed twice this week, and I recommend that everybody watch it, because it gives not only the legal basis, but also talks about the pros and cons. I will now tell you the times it will be replayed. It will be played Saturday, Saturday, March 18th at noon, and Thursday, March 16th at 6 p.m. I also want to make comment to the previous speaker. I think that they're not addressing the question. The question is whether, when you live in a co-op, whether well, I'll put it another way, the people who own the common land really is us, and you're building on our common land, so you have to get the approval of all the residents in order to build on that common land, and that is borne out by the California state law, which says that you have to have a vote. Anytime you ask for a variance to build on common land, you have to have a vote and get at least 67% of all shareholders to approve that variance. So when you talk about what unit you want to purchase, that's your own personal choice, but there are rules that regulate common land usage in a co-op.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comment?
To address Mr. Rader's comment about common use.
Who are you?
I'm sorry, 693B, Michael Landry. I don't see the problem. I think every unit that's been added to has gone through the vetting process, as far as I know. We were contacted by a neighbor who wanted to add. We said, fine, no problem. So I don't know what the problem is with the common use thing. But my actual comment is about gates, again. Traffic, prospective problems with the traffic coming into gates. We have a resident lane and we have a guest lane. The residents insist on going into the guest lane so they can say bye-bye to their little friends in the kiosk. I'm sorry, that's a problem. If I'm coming into gate 3, for instance, I'm in the resident lane, somebody's making nice with the kiosk, and the two lanes come together, the gate people don't have the authority to stop traffic so that there isn't a kissing of bumpers somewhere in there. It just frosts the bejesus out of me. I'm at the point of saying, I'm going in. You hit me, I'll sue your butt. Thank you.
Maxine McIntosh, am I too close?
No?
Okay. 68C. Good morning. I have two issues I wanted to address this morning. One is the renovation going on in the boardroom. That's a GRF project, but I apparently missed the meeting where it might have been discussed. And I understand that this board, received a paper in your mailboxes at one time telling you what was planned for the room. Can any of you tell me where I can access that information, the plan and the budget? I had no idea it was going to be such a major renovation taking months. And so I'd like to just get up to date. If any of you have an idea where I can get that information, I would appreciate it. And wanted to comment, maybe this guy over here?
I'll provide it to you.
I wanted to comment on the wonderful town hall meeting you conducted. This board has really been great. United Mutual runs great town hall meetings. This is not your first well-run, successful, democratically run board, town hall meeting. I found that everyone was heard, everyone was treated courteously, and therefore that courtesy was always returned to the board members. I really appreciated that, and I thought it was wonderful when Lenny asked I believe it was Lenny, asked those who were in favor of not allowing people to take common land from the community to stand. And of course, that was the overwhelming majority vote during that. I don't know if all the people at home know that, but that was a large vote of people wanting to keep the common land as it is. Good luck in Janey, you're doing a great job, and I appreciate all the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I will give you some of my comments. With just deep regret, I'm sorry, am I out of order?
Response to members.
Oh, I'm sorry. Directors, do we have any response to the comments? Pat?
Yes, I'd just like to respond to Maxine a little bit. Maxine, it's true that there were about 2/3 of the total people at the town hall meeting that were opposed to people using common area, and there was about 1/3 that were in favor of it. However, what you didn't mention is that this 2/3 had put an advertisement in the newspaper the Thursday before, and so one would expect to have a lot more of them out. I think we cannot get a representative group to determine which way they go without some kind of a survey or vote, and I don't know how we can do that. Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge the press.
Go ahead.
The press member just pulled in, so acknowledge.
Any other comments? Steve?
To Mr. Landry, I share your frustration.
Yes, thank you.
Don't know that there's much we can do about it. When we get all the gates in and everybody's got an RFID, there you have it, there it is. So we're just going to have to suffer until Mr. Hudson gets everything in order.
I'll send the bill from my phone.
Juanita?
I'd like to make a comment, excuse me, to Norma. Norma, some of the things that you talked about are the difference between a condo and a co-op. We have no garages, 1 or 2, in co-ops. People who buy in the condos do so because they want some of those kinds of amenities. Also, in the co-op, you own your unit, and so you have much freer ability to do whatever you want within that unit. Whereas in the co-op, we are limited by our governing documents as to what we can and cannot do. And Mr. Landry, except for gate 1, I really see what you say. But with gate 1, it's very difficult because the resident lane is on the outside, the guest lane is on the inside, and yet a good portion of the people who are going in through that gate want to turn left. They're going to Clubhouse 1, they're going to the library, or something like that. And there's that crossover, which does make it very, very difficult. Maxine, I'm sure our CEO will have something to say about your request, and I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Andre?
Thanks for your comment, and I did some survey about land use myself. I went out to walked around the neighborhood and talked to people, grabbed people, whoever I can talk to about land use, and discussed the issue with them right after town hall meeting. And the number that I received is out of the 91 people, and later on, I got other people who come to me and talk about these issues. So altogether, the 91 people that I talked to, 77 of them are against the land use giving away, and 11 of them are for land use given away, and 3 of them are undecided. So that's, I understand this is a limited number, but that's all the time I have, that's all I can do. So that's the number that I got from response from the residents. I understand this, some people there are, some residents like the idea, but some residents don't like the idea. But to me, this is a little bit overwhelming that the people are against this idea. So that's the information I have to share with everybody else. Thanks.
Thank you, Andre. And anyone else? I would like to thank our young lady from the Globe to be joining with us today. And as for the chair's report, with deep regret, the board has accepted letters of resignation from President Lenny Ross effective April 11th, 2017, and First Vice President Jan Labarge effective February 23, 2017. We thank these directors for all their many years of hard work and dedication to the community. They both will truly be missed by the board. And at this time, the board would like to present, and Jan is not here, the recognition of her service that she has given so many hours and years to us, helped our community, and also we're returning to her her photo. So we accept her resignation, as I said, with regret, along with Lenny. They truly are going to be missed. Due to their resignation, United Laguna Woods Mutual is accepting applications for qualified candidates willing to serve on the United Mutual Board of Directors. Both terms will expire October of this year, 2017. It is a great opportunity to make a positive impact on your community. Applicants must be full-time residents, have lived in the village for at least 6 months. To apply, visit the general manager's office in the community center to obtain the application and specific instructions on the election process. Return the completed application to our Assistant Corporate Secretary, Leslie Cameron, in the general manager's office no later than 5 p.m. on Thursday, April the 6th, 2017. Candidate interviews and appointments to fill the positions will be held in the United Mutual regular board meeting Tuesday, April 11th, 2017 at 9:30 a.m. in the Laguna Woods City Hall Council Chambers. You can call 949-268-2295 or email Leslie Cameron at vmsinc.org for more information. I'd like to give a little overall discussion on our town hall meeting that we had on land use. On February the 28th, the United Board held a town hall meeting discussing exclusive land use of common area for individuals. The United Board wishes to thank our legal counsel, Jeff Beaumont, President Lenny Ross, Secretary Juanita Stillman, Treasurer Pat English, and Member Dick Rader for their excellent presentations. There were 160 attendees, submitted 75 questions and comments. 17 people would like to see no change to the existing land use. 34 were not in favor of allowing exclusive use of additional land area by individual members. There were 7 landscape questions, 13 other topics such as insurance, property taxes, real estate disclosures, surcharges for application, neighbors being consulted on variances. By request, there was a stand-up vote taken, and it was estimated that 2/3 were not in favor of allowing exclusive use of additional common area by any individual. And the board is reviewing the comments and questions that were submitted. The board wishes to thank all who attended our town hall and those watching us on TV6. Next on our agenda is a report given by Joe Rainey for the VMS board.
Good morning, and thank you very much. I'm Joe Rainey, 889C, and I'm one of the 9 directors on Village Management Services Board. I want to thank you initially for, again, appointing me on this board. It's been a wonderful experience for me as a resident of 21 years to participate in the operation of this wonderful village we live in. It's been an honor representing you, United, and all the residents of United. I'd like to first recognize some of our VMS employees. It's been brought to my attention they've gone above and beyond their normal duties. One is Kurt Rand and his staff. They planted a screen barrier along Paseo de Valencia. One of the residents called in and said, the sirens, the traffic, there's a convalescent center across the street, was just so loud and it was disrupting her. And the staff, it was Joan Ligon, who was concerned about the noise. And thanks to the supervisor, Mike Swingnam, who oversaw this project, so now it's a lot quieter in her manner. Also, Heather Rasmussen for her work on the Village Breeze. Between the editor-in-chief, Joan Milliman, they're providing really good information about to our residents about what's going on in the village and in the boards. Also, a special thank you to Maggie Blackwell for her contributions on behalf of your United Board. Also, when you go over to the community center, you see our concierges. I want to recognize Nancy and Carmen for their friendliness and their manner of greeting the residents when they come in. It's very welcoming. They even say hi to me when I come in. I think that's really nice. And also, my wife and I and family members and friends went to the dog show. It was the O'Lady Dog Show. And the performers at the Performing Arts Center, they won the America's Got Talent contest. And it was so cute seeing all their little trained dogs. And Jesse Cripps was a major part of that. I want to thank Jesse. Also, something that I really enjoy is on TV6 is watching those first-run movies. Thank you, Brad. There's some really good new entertainment on the television. You're probably going to talk about this, but Monday, yesterday, they opened the new fitness center at Clubhouse 1. I encourage everyone to go over there and check that out. On the update on our what's going on at VMS, we have a meeting tomorrow morning at the Willow Room, second floor. All of you board members are cordially invited to come to our meeting. Starts at 9 o'clock. We'll be looking into some of the things we're going to look at in the meeting tomorrow is benefit comparisons with other homeowners associations in our area of South Orange County. We'll be also reviewing the succession planning training program. We're trying to cross-train. I'm sure Brad will give you more information if you need that. But we have an active ongoing training for all of the VMS employees right now. We're also going to be updating our strategic plan. And I know, Andre, you're concerned about that. Yes. So we will be talking about that at our meeting tomorrow. One of the things is the new website that's coming down the road, which will enhance the ability of our residents to provide input to VMS and also to be able to track our performance. There's also been new LED lights installed over at Clubhouse 7 by the cart path to make it safer, I guess, at night when people are in that area. A recent concern that we on the board have right now is to monitor and ensure that the proper staffing levels in VMS are maintained, because we need to be able to respond quickly to the residents and the board on any of your concerns. I hope in the last year or so that we've been around that we've been responsive. I've seen it. It's a big difference from what it used to be years ago. And we continue, our goal is to continue to be able to respond rapidly to the residents and the boards on their concerns. We are dedicated, and we are all residents on the VMS board, just like you are. And we're dedicated, we understand our fiduciary responsibility to you, who appointed us, and also to the residents of Laguna Woods Village, because we live here and we want it to make it better, and that's what we're always thinking about, not our pet projects. not our political agendas, but the ultimate reason we're here is to be able to provide exemplary service to all of you. And thank you. That's my report. Are there any questions? Thank you very
so
much.
much, Joe. Next, we have a report from our CO, Brad Hudson, on the state of the community.
Well, thank you very much. It's really my pleasure to be able to address you, United Board, as well as our residents and all those residents watching on VTV, or is it Channel 6? We don't know yet. We're still making that decision. But you have noticed big changes in Channel 6, as were noted earlier today, with first-run movies, less commercials. It's in HD now, which means you don't always pick it up on Channel 6 anymore. It might be on 6.1 or 406. Hence, the name Channel 6 really has no meaning anymore because it's picked up in a number of locations depending on the cable box you're using, whether you have a digital TV or not, etc. So making a lot of changes to TV6, very excited about it. Part of that change is the change to the boardroom. Since that is the #1 watch show on VTV, we need to install digital cameras there and better sound. Like I said, it's our top-rated show is the board meetings. And so we're going to upgrade that experience dramatically for residents, as well as having the opportunity through Granicus to watch the board meetings live from anywhere, even on the golf course, Joe. You can pull up your smartphone out there. It doesn't matter if you're on the tee or the fairway, the green, you can watch the board meeting live. Or in the rough, yes. And so, or if you can't make it live, you can always go on Granicus and watch it anytime taped. And so, a lot of opportunities to participate there, and I'll be glad to send you, Maxine, the information on the boardroom upgrades. Joe mentioned the fitness center, and it really is quite spectacular. I don't know if any of you have been there yet. It is a new experience for the village. It is as nice or nicer than any LA Fitness or 24 you're going to go to, with nice sound, TVs, food and beverage, new equipment. It is proper flooring, private restrooms. It really is a huge, huge upgrade from the prior community center fitness center. In addition, you don't have to go in and out the building in your gym clothes or after workout, sweaty and wet hair, because it has its own private entrance from the parking lot. You don't have to go on an elevator ride and wait, come up and down, which also helps the other occupants of the building as well. In case there is, God forbid, a medical aid issue, there's ambulance, it would have direct access to the gym to serve our residents, not wait for an elevator and go through all that nonsense. So there are so many reasons why that fitness center was inappropriately placed on the 3rd floor and why it's so much better, nicer, safer, and more appropriate for an office building for it to be on the 1st floor. So I hope you all come and enjoy. We're still kind of tinkering with things, so if you have suggestions, we'd love to hear them. It's not too late. We're very excited about the new fitness center. And one of the reasons I'm excited about it, which is probably a little bit different than residents, is now we have some space available where we can start implementing the call center program that we've been talking about and improve our resident service area downstairs. It's a very inefficient use of space. Anytime you have a curvilinear waiting room, you're wasting a lot of space. And so we need to go in there and redo that, add more operators. We love to hear from our residents, and we hear from you about 1.2 million times a year on the phone. And I really don't have enough operators back there to handle that. And so we're going to add a 20 operator call center back there. And so we can get your calls first time, every time, 24/7, 365. That'll be merged with emergency dispatch. So there'll always be a number of trained folks there to address any concerns you have. I don't want to criticize our security dispatchers. They do a great service to our community, but we really don't have them trained up properly to enter other service requests. They take them, but it's kind of haphazard, and so we really want to get them a great new location, proper training on all the services we provide, so any operator we have at some point in their career will be able to handle every resident request that comes in, whether it be security dispatch, property services, a recreation reservation, anything that we do, a cable box or a cable repair, any of that should be handled anytime you call by any operator you receive. And so that's the goal. I hired Chris Barr recently, who's a call center customer service expert, to run that and to implement the program. And so we're very, very excited about that. One of the first things we're going to do, we haven't done it yet, and it's probably maybe next week, is right now, if you want to return a cable box to the community center, I've done this myself, so I know, not to the community center. So you're dragging your cable box, maybe you have a modem here, a couple of cables behind you, trying to get on the elevator, go up to the 3rd floor to turn in your box or exchange it for a better one, or maybe you have a broken one, but you want to install it yourself. And so we're moving that down to the 1st floor in the resident service area, so you don't need to drag all that upstairs. And so just part of the enhancements that we want to provide. I'm very excited. Because of the fitness center relocation, we now have the space to start implementing that program in earnest. I'm very, very excited about it. I want to talk about gates, as do other people apparently. I'll be recommending to the GRF board that we provide the gate arms and the technology at gates 1, 2, 3, and 4 in next year's budget. Whether they approve that or not is up to them, but it's an important program. We've seen great benefits from 5 and 6. It's really been implemented without too much fanfare, too much difficulty. It has really worked well. I thought getting the RFIDs on 15 or 18,000 vehicles was going to be a deal breaker, but it turned out to be very smooth, and the residents I've talked to all said it was a fairly painless experience as far as these things go. And so since everybody actually has them on their vehicles now, we might as well just put the gates in to put them to good use. And so I like the 1, 2, 3, 4 area. I think it's a good place. It needs security. There are some issues. For example, the gate 3 issues would be completely resolved with the gate arms in there because of their timing. It doesn't allow folks to go at the same time. Gate 1 presents a few challenges. It's a little narrow for the traffic that comes there, and we may want to talk to you and GRF about the kind of traffic we allow through there. Maybe we don't allow deliveries and commercial use through Gate 1 and reserve it really for residents and their guests. 1. 2 has a much longer stacking area, though. 1 is a tougher deal. And so we'll look at those issues together and come back with a plan. I know Chuck is doing some rough estimates right now for budget purposes, and we anticipate a favorable response to bring those security upgrades to our community. We are starting the budget process now. There's a number of projects that we'll be suggesting. Probably one of the more important ones for United residents is the Performing Arts Center. We've got our first kind of preliminary look at what the architects are suggesting there. The good news is, and it was my biggest fear, is that from a structural seismic perspective, that building is sound, and with a few very modest improvements can be really up to code. And so we just received that information yesterday. And my biggest fear was that we had some sort of fatal structural flaw that would make it difficult to reuse that, but that is not the case, and it looks like we can move forward with some very interesting concepts for the entire community. But I mean, it is an iconic feature of United, and so we're proud to work on that with you. Speaking of the Performing Arts Center, and Joe mentioned the Oladi dogs. He called them something else, Oladi dogs. They weren't lady dogs, they're mostly male, I think, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Anyway, that was really well received, and I've heard a lot of positive comments about that, and we've tried to bring a little different entertainment in here and there. We hypnotists and dogs and different things just to give a little different flavor of entertainment to residents. And many of the clubs provide fine entertainment as well. But coming up, we have some movies. March 20th, we have Florence Foster Jenkins at 7:30. That's a good movie, and that comes with free popcorn. And we will sell you a Coke, but it won't be $8 like it is at the show. Might be $1. And then April 17th, we have The Meddler at 7:30. Same thing, free popcorn. And then March 31st to April 9th, Lion in the Winter will be playing with Old Pros. That will be good. And then I'm told that this is a definite sellout, and you have to get your tickets right away, but True Willie. And apparently this is sort of a Willie Nelson tribute individual who actually does Willie better than Willie. He's very popular. I'm told it's going to be a sellout, so you might want to get your tickets now, April 22nd at 7. And then May 13th at 7, we have Chipper Lowell, who does magic and comedy and other interesting things, and he's pretty popular as well. I did want to talk about a couple of other things, one being internet service. I get a lot of comments from residents about that, probably, and it ebbs and flows about the types of things that residents are concerned about. It'll be property services for a while, and lately it's been sidewalks. Sidewalks are really popular to complain about right now, so we're developing a program for that. And then lately it's been really internet service, and we have a number of programs that JRF Media Communications and staff are working on to dramatically improve your service. The first phase is the deployment of 16 additional lasers to shoot that information down the fiber optic lines a little bit quicker for you. And so we think we're going to be able to probably maybe double your service with no increase in cost. And that's a GRF project that we're in the middle of right now, and hopefully we can deliver that to you in the next few months. We're very excited about that. We have phases 2 and 3 of that as well, which we think will probably be another doubling of service for internet customers. We're very, very excited about that, and we're moving forward very aggressively. It's a very important. We've asked you to become digital, to accept information from the mutuals, from VMS in a digital format. The very least we can do is provide an adequate tunnel for you to receive that information through. And so we're very excited about that. And then lastly, I think Joe touched on it a bit. We are on the cusp of unleashing the first phase of the website and resident portal, which will include a lot of more transparency in terms of board meetings, board agendas, board agenda materials provided to you. I've committed to 5 business days before the meeting. And I hope to God I can live up to that, because that has not our tradition here, but it is a tradition we need to have. And so transparency isn't very transparent if it occurs after the fact. And so we need to get those materials in your hand before the meetings occur, well before, so you can study them and come here ready to participate in the governance of your community, which we're all very, very committed to. I might hit one last thing, just as a reminder to the community, and I shared this information with board members. The year before I arrived here, we did 228 compliance cases a week. Excuse me, a month. 228 a month. Last year, we did 570 a month. Huge, huge increase. Now that reflects, I think, a better use of staff resources. We added no new staff for that. We just more than doubled our productivity. But it reflects an emphasis of the boards on ensuring compliance with our rules and governing documents. And so we have been responsive to that. And so I just want to remind residents, oh yeah, and I've added staff recently, so I suspect that's going to go up to maybe 1,000 a month with additional staff. We are vigilant and committed to enforcing the rules of this community. And so I urge residents, number one, please familiarize yourself with our rules. They're on the website. You can communicate with me directly and I can provide them to you. And then also, don't tolerate others in our community who don't follow the rules. Please let us know so we can contact them. We don't want to fine anybody. We don't want to have any hearings. We just want to let you know when you're not in compliance and have you comply with our rules. So if you can help us, we can make this a much safer and a much a better community if everybody follows our rules. And if they don't, well, we have tools for that as well. But we're all living here together in close proximity, and it necessitates a little more structure maybe than living in a single family environment. And so I urge everyone, please, let's work together and have a safe, clean, and beautiful community. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Brad. Pat English.
Good job.
Pat has a comment.
Brad, I'd like to thank you for all the things you've done since you've been here. It's tremendous. I noticed the other day you even had Manchester by the Sea on TV.
Yeah, we did.
That was terrific. Anyway, I am concerned about something, and this is a very general comment, and it's not us specifically. But we've had a very positive turnaround with jobs recently, not just in Orange County, but in all of the United States. I'm wondering how or if this will impact any decisions that you will be making with regard to our employees, our VMS employees.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you saw the job numbers last month, they really spiked upward, and we have felt that. I think I can say this on TV. We recently lost 2 very key employees, and they were traveling a bit, one from Long Beach and the other from Anaheim Hills, and they were able to secure similar jobs much closer to home. And so we lost them. And I'll just tell you who they are, because I think you like them both a lot. One is Blasilda, who works in compliance, who we all like, and the other is Kelly in finance, who we all like a lot. And so I'll be making a more formal announcement on these 2 later in an email to all board members, but I mean, it's kind of out there. But yeah, people are finding opportunities closer to home, making more money, and so we are in a challenging job market right now. And so we have to either be more aggressive in our approach to hiring and retaining people, or maybe hire a little younger folk and accept a training role and a mentorship role and bring some folks along, and maybe a little bit of both. And so it's something I know the VMS board has talked about a lot, and I suspect we'll be talking about it tomorrow as we look at cross-training and succession planning. Now, luckily, in these 2 departments that I just referenced, they've done a pretty good job at that. We have a bullpen of capable folks that are ready to step up, so I'm less concerned about that. More recently, we had some losses in manor alterations, and we had a retirement, and a couple people got other jobs, and then we had 2 FMLA cases, and so you have all that hit at once, and without a lot of bullpen, it's very difficult to back that up. So it takes a lot of planning, and it takes more awareness right now, and more cross-training, and the ability to shift people around to keep going when you have this kind of a challenging workforce right now.
Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you. If there's no objection, we will approve the minutes of all of the following regular. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, Cash.
I just wanted to say that to Brad. Basically, I think they're doing excellent job. Brad is a very good organizer of people. But one comment he made about RFID and all the other gates, I was wondering Gate 4 is only exit gate. Are there been plans to make an in gate on Gate 4, or why do we need a RFID there?
Boy, Gate 4. Gate 4 has been in the news lately. There was a, gosh, it was a United resident too. There was a rumor that was entirely incorrect that Gate 4 was being closed. And, you know, I couldn't put an end to it. We kept trying. And the lady finally realized that she was wrong. She came to see me, and she was just a wonderful, lovely lady. And she said, boy, I think I've created a big mess here. And I said, well, yeah, you have. You have, that's true. And she apologized and was very nice. But, yeah, we're not closing Gate 4. It's likely that will be more of an automated exit gate only without the gatehouse. Nothing's been approved yet, but part of the call center concept is right now if you call for gate access, it goes to the gatehouses. And it bounces around until one of those gate ambassadors is free to pick it up. And so we're transitioning that away from the gates and into the service center and the call center. So gate ambassadors won't be doing that anymore. And that Gate 4 ambassador is the primary receiver of those calls. That's number one, because they don't really check a lot of people coming in. So the Gate 4 ambassador receives phone calls and books gate access. And so when that's going to the call center, there won't be a whole lot for that person to do there. And so we're looking at having that be more of an automatic gate that will not require a gate ambassador. Again, the plans haven't been developed. It hasn't been finalized. It's just a concept at this point. And I know Chuck and Tim are working through those issues to see how that would work. But that's the concept for Gate 4, and it's not being closed. And Renee, stop doing that.
Juanita?
As to Gate 4, because it's exit only, if we do not staff it, we have no control over the pedestrians that come in, and that is our weakest link in pedestrians. We have a gate there. It is not secured. Somehow or other, whether it's a swipe like we do at the others or whatever, I don't know, but we can't have it just open all the time for anybody to come in. That's a main artery there that they come and they just walk by. And they don't check in with the gate ambassador now. And if we took that away, there still would be just free access through that gate. So I think that's one of the things we really need to look at as we look through Gate 4.
It is a challenging gate, and it's, you know, you've got the traffic signal there. The gate is very close to the road, so there's not much stacking. You can't make a right turn against the red. There's all kinds of things working against that gate, in addition to the ones you mentioned. But it needs a complete redesign, and probably through the use of wrought iron or something, pull it back a little further in the community so you can have a larger stacking outside the gate, and then deploy some cameras and some card swipes and other things there to make it work. So, yeah, it's not just going to be like it is. We know that doesn't work, and so there's some engineering yet to be done on that.
Point on that, I'd really like to see it open later in the evenings also.
We have the RFID.
Any other comments? Okay. If there's no objections, I would like to have the approval of the minutes for February the 14th, February the 23rd, March the 3rd, and March the 3rd. Juanita?
I have a number of comments. This is something we have worked diligently on over this last weekend. In the regular open session, we had one regular session and 3 special sessions. There were some Scribner additions that we needed to make. We included the things that were on the agenda for the February 14th meeting, and some of them did not have the date and resolution number for things that we passed at that meeting, the non-smoking policy and the care provider policy. And so those, excuse me, have been added. And those will go on the website when we put these on. Now, the 3 difficult meetings were the special meetings. The first one on February 3rd, February 23rd. We have added an asterisk to the minutes of that meeting that say, as a result of these items not being properly noticed on the agenda of February 23rd, 2017, these matters will be noticed at a future meeting. It was a meeting that was not noticed properly. There was no agenda approved, and we went ahead and did some things at that meeting that proved to be, needed to be redone. So that asterisk will go in there. On the next one, on February 3rd, we had 2 open meetings, one at 2:50 in the afternoon and one at 3:45. And the one at 2:50, excuse me, under directors absent, we have added this footnote of Director Jan Labarge tendered her resignation to President Lenny Ross on February 23rd, 2017, so that it would be in the minutes and would be documented. And so I think we didn't have any changes to the next special meeting that was at 3:58. So I would like to move that we accept the minutes with those changes.
Is there any other discussion?
No,
Maggie?
second.
Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. The next item is the consent calendar. Is there a motion to accept the consent calendar as presented?
I move that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion is carried. Gary, did you vote? Thank you. Okay, great. Committee reports? Finance, Pat?
Okay. All right. First of all, I'm going to give you a report on the financial statements. This is the Treasurer's report for March the 14th. On the first slide, which I don't think we'll see here, but the TV people will see it, people out in TV land. The total revenue for United through January 31st, 2017 was $3,315,000 compared to expenses of $2,593,000, which resulted in greater revenue than expense by $722,000. Slide 2, please. The next chart shows activity in operations separate from reserves. After backing out depreciation, which is not funded through operations, we can see bottom line, we had an operating surplus of $270,000 through January the 31st. Slide 3, please. With a favorable bottom line of $722,000 compared to a planned surplus of $19,000 through January, United Mutual was better than budget by $703,000, which was primarily due to timing of reserve expenses. A favorable variance in outside services of $595,000 resulted from fewer reserve expenditures for waistline, preventive roofing, and building structure replacements. Budget distributions are to be revised in February. Slide 4 is a pie chart. We show the non-assessment revenues received to date of almost $146,000 by category, starting with our largest revenue generating category, miscellaneous, which is primarily due to the collection of the annual golf cart electric fee, followed by fees and charges to residents for prorated appliance charges. And I'll add on this, while I'm in that area, that United now allows electric vehicles, and you pay $240 per year for the privilege of plugging in your electrical vehicles. Slide 5. On this pie chart, we show the expenses to date of approximately $2.6 million by category, showing that our largest categories of expenses are for compensation and property taxes. Slide 6. The reserve balances on January 31st were almost $21 million. Our year-to-date contributions and interest to reserves were $1,019,000, and our year-to-date expenditures were $547,000. Okay, that is our financial statement report. Now I'm going to go on to our delinquency report. We have a total of 36 units that are delinquent, and our delinquency grand total is $93,491. Now, while this is up a little bit from a couple of months ago, we were down in the 50s and 60,000s. I will say that for a homeowners association of our size, this is a remarkable achievement. We have very low delinquencies, less than a percentage of 1%, very small. My estimate is we're probably the best off in the country when it comes to delinquencies, or lack of them, I should say, which is a very good place to be in. Now for our resales and our subleases. If I can find the right page here, I'll be right with you. Okay. United, we had a total of $8,854,815 in total sales for February. This equates to an average resale price through February of 2017 of $239,411. This time last year, our average resale price was $226,153. So the change there is an increase, which is something we should be very pleased with, of 5.9%. That's how much our properties increased over the previous month, over the average of the previous month. Okay. Now, you'll excuse me a minute. I'll get back to where I'm supposed to be. Okay. Discussion and consider investment policy. Should we talk about that? I don't
Leasing report.
I beg your pardon?
Leasing report was on the back.
The leasing report, okay. Yes, our leasing report has remained the same, and we say that is a very good thing. It hasn't increased. We're at a total of 8% total leases in United. This is just for United now. This represents a total of 514 leases over the 6,323, which equates to 8%. This is really good because it's staying pretty stable, 7.5% plus or minus half or 1%, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's a very good sign. Okay. Now, Juanita, do we need to do anything on the investment policy?
I can read the changes.
You're going to do the resolution and the changes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It's Resolution 01-1615, the Laguna Woods, United Laguna Woods Mutual Investment Policy. Whereas the Village Management Services, Inc., managing agent of this corporation, and an external investment manager are hereby authorized to invest the funds of the corporation, which, in the opinion of said managing agent, are not required within a reasonable time to pay obligations of the corporation, in other words, our operating expenses. Now therefore be it resolved on March 14th, 2017, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby authorize the managing agent to retain Merrill Lynch and its affiliate, BlackRock, as investment manager, and gives the investment manager discretion to transact purchases and sales of investments for the United Woods Mutual account. Such discretion is subject to the underlying conditions as stated below. The board will determine the amount to be managed in this discretionary account. Resolved further that all investments on behalf of this corporation must be made with the underlying principles in the following order of priority. First, safety. Second, liquidity, where applicable. And third, yield, and are subject to the following conditions. Notification of confirmation shall be given to the managing agent and treasurer of this corporation upon completion of each investment transaction. For funds administered by Village Management Services, Inc., known as the non-discretionary account, no investment may be sold, withdrawn, redeemed, or otherwise converted to cash prior to maturity without a demonstrated immediate need of the funds and the consent of the treasurer and either the president or first vice president of this corporation. Furthermore, if a member of the corporation desires an investment to be sold, withdrawn, redeemed, or otherwise converted to cash prior to maturity, approval must be received from the board of directors of the corporation. Managed funds, known as the discretionary account, shall be invested only in authorized investments as provided herein. A, obligations of or fully guaranteed as to the principal by the United States of America. And 2, up to 20% of the portfolio may be invested in corporate bonds rated A through AAA. And this is a new part here. Specifically A3, A minus or better by Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch. A bond is only required to meet the criteria of one of these 3 rating services. If a bond does not meet the minimum credit quality criteria in at least one of these 3 entities, one of the above rating services, if the bond may not be purchased or if owned, must be removed from the portfolio within 30 days. No more than 3% of the portfolio is to be invested in any one corporate bond issuer. Item 4, interim cash balances are to be held in money market funds that are invested in short-term U.S. Treasuries or direct obligations of the U.S. government. And 5, investments on behalf of this corporation may be made concurrently with investments made on behalf of other corporations of Laguna Woods Village. However, separate investment receipts will be held in the name of the corporation. Any such investments may be held for the account of the corporation in book entry form. Resolved further that Resolution 1615, adopted on February 9th, 2016, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation. And I might point out that this is a yearly thing that we normally do. So I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Andre?
A question about item number 3B. Upon 20% of the portfolio may be invested in corporate bonds rated A through AAA. That I have no problem. Specifically A3, A minus, or better by Moody's, S&P, and Fitch. I have no problem. The problem I have is with the next sentence. A bond is only required to meet the criteria of one rating services. So are we saying that if one of them rating is A, the other one is a rating a B, the other one is rating C, it's okay to purchase this bond? Is that what we intend to do? I think that has a little bit of conflict with our following earlier priority, safety. I would prefer to be all 3 of them rated A.
Do you have an answer to that? No? Jeff?
Yeah, I don't.
General accounting practices does not do that. Jeff?
Well, I think I would rely on staff's recommendations. And with the mind that, as Juanita was saying, safety first, liquidity, and then yield is your standard of evaluating what investments are best for United. But I would also defer to staff's recommendations as they are in the position to have the expertise and knowledge of what methods of investment are best for United and go with their recommendations.
So this is the way that staff has recommended that we look at this resolution?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. You got to be a little faster.
Just going to say, you hire professional management. The financial advisor is one that I think, not the board, but the financial advisor, you should listen to them very carefully.
Yes, thank you. Okay, for the vote, all those in favor? Those opposed? The measure passes. Okay. We're going to have at this time, are you saying something?
Yeah, discussion of status of reserves.
E.
12E. Bobby?
Go ahead.
Okay. Reserves. I'm just going to give you a little briefing on where we're at here. We'll start preparing our budget for 2018 next month. Is that correct, Brad? You'll be busy working on it. Because of the many infrastructure issues that we have, specifically in United, it's vitally important that we prioritize our needs accurately. We've sewer lines and buildings that are 50-plus years old, electric panels that are not up to code, and dry rot issues that must be taken care of promptly. We also need to replenish our contingency fund, which was depleted by nearly $4 million in 2016-17 by the solar project. We must budget the projected savings from our solar panels to go back into the contingency fund on a monthly basis. So that's all I have to say about the reserves, but we have some work to do on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.
I'm done.
Mary?
Oh, good, Mary, I'll have something good to say.
Yes,
No?
my question is, when you did your reporting on the slides, I believe it was slide 3, you said the favorable variance in outside services of $595,000 resulted from fewer reserve expenditures for waste lines, preventive roofing, and building structure replacements. If you're asking for more money, why didn't we spend the $595,000 already for this year? What happened?
I don't know the answer. Have to ask Betty on that one.
Steve?
One of the issues that we've been faced with for a number of years is not being able to replace hot water heaters in the manors because of tightened building codes and the city requiring a special device, and it's rather expensive. Some alternative devices were brought forward for consideration by the city. The city, as I understand, if I have this correct, Brad, has declined the use of that alternative device.
That's correct.
Yeah. So we have quite a backlog of hot water heaters, if you think about it. 632 should be replaced every year on a 10-year cycle, and I think we're 2 years behind on that, so that would be a portion of it. And I also think that these, the additional installation of these Watts devices is going to be some considerable additional expense, which had not been previously budgeted in prior years. So that's where some of the savings shows, but it will eventually be spent.
I think that's correct. And we have installed a number of water heaters in United without the benefit of the Watts device, and we'll have to go back and put those on. And that will be a substantial sum. Also, and I hate to bring this up, but I think it's important, we had a pretty tragic incident relating to painting and roofs and other aerial activities this year, which necessitated many of those crews to not be on those devices for a number of months while we did additional training and safety procedures, worked with OSHA. So we did lose some productivity as a result of that as well. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Don Tibbetts is unable to be with us today, so Steve Leonard is going to give the report on the Maintenance Construction Committee.
Oh, boy. So, Don had an accident. He took a fall, and he wrote to me the other day and asked me if I would pick this up for him. And he sent me his notes, so I will read you from his notes. The M&C meeting of February 22nd, the committee had 5 alteration requests and approved all but one of them, which would have been via our consent calendar that we approved earlier today. Last year, the decal issuance for automobiles and golf carts had been amended by allowing the additional, 1 extra decal for a golf cart for a total of 3. This brought up a discussion within the committee and a recommendation. We had a conversation about it, and we looked into the possibility of amending it again, and it is now on our agenda, and we will have a vote on a change in the decals. I was directed by the committee to look into the placement of the red line curbing that we have in no parking areas throughout the community, as we've had a substantive change in the way that people get a bus. We no longer need to have dedicated bus stops, so we may be able to pick up some additional on-street parking on named streets with curbs by the removal of some red lines, so that's something that we will be looking at. We also looked into the total laundry room situation, and there is an item on our agenda today about raising the fee for the washing machines, which we will discuss through that resolution. It was discussed in the meeting that we're losing a substantial amount of money in the laundry operations every day, which brought up the conversation and the price rise that we will consider later today. We have many residents who are washing clothes at home and using the laundry room dryers, which, because they are free, so we're also going to look into the possibility of replacing our current dryers with coin-operated dryers as well. This will also cut down the illegal use of outside people who are using our laundries as well. And we had a conversation about replacing all the machines with some bank card readers, completely limiting the use of coins. However, that's a very expensive proposition and not one that I think that we will be bringing forward. And I think that will move us now to 13A and the discussion of raising our washing machine costs. So, would you like me to proceed?
There is no resolution. The resolution needs to be read.
Okay, where are we here? 13A.
Lots of information, but no.
Okay. We have no resolution.
We don't.
Right, okay. So we have a staff report on this issue, and the recommendation by staff is to raise the cost of washing a load of laundry from the current 50 cents to $1. The background here is the cost of washing a load of laundry is currently 50 cents. Dryer usage is free. The pricing has been in place for at least the past 2 decades. We had a discussion on this in the M&C meeting. We're operating at a loss currently, and if you look on the back of the page, agenda item A, page 2 of 3, you will see an analysis that I had done and updated recently to show those costs. And our principal cost has been electricity. With the advent of the solar
that will be somewhat reduced. However, our second largest expense is janitorial, which runs almost about $192,000 a year. Each one of our 175 laundries is visited every 17 times a year, as I recall. Also, we have repairs, which comes out of operating expenses, which I was able to get information from accounting in that regard. Water is about $13,000. Our collection costs are a combination of hourly pay for our employees who collect the money, and also some motor vehicle costs as well. So we have a total expense from 2016 of $611,000. We only took in $137,000 against that $611,000 expense. Our true cost per load is up around $2.23. So this raise from 50 cents to $1 still will not get us out of the red, but again, we haven't had a price increase for 20 years. And on another note, also did an analysis of the number of manners within United that have pulled washer and dryer permits, and that's 1,299. So that represents about 21% of our manners who now have washers and dryers in their own units. So we have seen a continual decline on the use of the laundries over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. So we had this discussion. Director English made a motion to increase the cost of the washing to 75 cents per load. Director Labarge amended the motion to increase to the cost of washing to $1 a load. I seconded that motion, and it passed in M&C by a unanimous vote of 4-0. So would you like to have a discussion?
Any discussion by any of the board members? Andre.
Okay, agenda item 13A, page 3 of 3. This is regarding nitpicking. Be on the first line at a financial.
Excuse me, Andre, could you put your microphone down? Thank you.
Sorry. Agenda item 13A, page 3 of 3. At the end of first line, are operating at a financial loss of 0.50 cents. I think it's $0.50 or 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
The last sentence of that same paragraph also says the 5.50 cents, that's probably 50 cents. And the first sentence of the second paragraph is 0.75 cents. 75 cents, just some nitpicking. I understand you.
I didn't prepare the report, so I think we all know what it meant. It's
yes.
just, so all of those decimal points should be removed from the report.
Yes, that has been the presentation for the last couple of meetings, and it's unusual.
If it was $
Yeah.
0.50 and not the cents, yeah, okay.
Is there any other discussion?
I have a question. We spent a lot of money getting solar power in the laundries, but we are still charging at a rate of 17 cents, which to me is the full charge for electricity. What is the charge now for the laundry? So until we used contingency money to purchase the solar on those programs, and that money has to be repaid back into the contingency fund. So yes, you can say we have a reduction in electricity costs now that we've installed the solar, but we haven't paid for the solar. So until you pay for the solar, you still have a burden. Additionally, if you were to completely eliminate the electricity cost here on page 2 of 3, which you won't do because the solar does not cover 100% of our common area needs,
you would still have a loss of 350,000, total expense of 350 against an annual income of 137. So you'd still be losing $210,000 a year on 274,000 loads. So yeah, you can talk about the savings in electricity because of the solar, but until the solar is fully repaid, we have to pay for the solar.
Any other comments from the board? Cash?
I understand that, but I think jumping from 50 cents to $1, some of our residents who use laundry now will tend to go to doing laundry at home or get washer and dryer. Have you considered what that would do to the cost of water?
If individual owners want to install their own washers and dryers through the permit process, can't give you a really good explanation, but I would assume a washer and dryer stack unit would cost you over $1,000 if you went to Home Depot. And then if you had to pull the permits and put in the additional electricity and the drain lines and the hot and cold water connections, you'd probably spend upwards of $1,000 for that. So if 50% of our homeowners want to go out and install laundries in their own units, well, then we won't have to service as many machines, and we won't have to make those reserve contributions in the future. So it's kind of a teeter-totter. It goes either way.
I have one more question. Your janitorial costs are $191,000. They're all for laundromats?
So the way those janitorial costs work, each mutual is charged by GRF for services for janitorial. And the information that was provided to me from Betty Parker's office had a breakdown as a percentage of the total janitorial cost to the mutual specific to the laundries, because they know how many times they're visited by how many employees at what burden rate. And so they came up with a percentage of that, and that's the percentage of the entire mutual expense that I used in the calculation.
So in the interim, you're saying you're raising the cost, and then when the repayment of the money is done, you're going to lower it again?
No.
You're not?
If you look at the very bottom line of this page, you'll see the cost per load is $2.23. Okay? If we raise the cost of the washer to $1, we're still losing $1.23 per load. Hence the recommendation to go forward and put in dryers that have coin collection as well until we can get to a point where we can offset the operating costs, the true operating costs, against the income so that it's revenue neutral without a loss.
Mary?
Mary Stone, 356C. Well, you just mentioned that the total cost per load was $2.23. However, you are collecting $137,000. So if you take that from your $611,000, your actual cost per load that you're getting right now is $1.73.
That's the loss.
That's yeah.
That's the loss.
Yeah, yes, that would be the loss per load. However, you're not including the fact that part of that electricity is walkway lighting and carports?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have taken that into consideration?
Yeah, the 1.53 million kilowatts in the third column is a net number minus all walkway, carport, lighting.
Terrific. And what is the cost to reprogram the washers, and what would be the cost of getting the programming in the dryers?
So we can't, let's deal with the washers first. The amount of time to reprogram a washer is about 20 seconds. So we send the coin collectors out 3 days in a month to collect all the coins. So my estimate would be that one service personnel would be able to do that work in the same amount of time. So 24 hours worth of work times whatever the hourly rate would be, even at $20 an hour, you're not
So there
talking
would be
about it. So it's
minimum
Yeah,
cost.
it's a minimum.
And also, you're not including the capital costs for that equipment.
No, that equipment is all through reserve.
Yeah.
These are
but-
only
but
operating
This
costs.
is only operating.
Correct.
So what is the cost of, in reserves that also should be considered as part of your cost?
Nothing, this is strictly from an operational standpoint. The reserves are already accounted for by the count and the cost, and those reserves are contributed to annually.
But it does cost, it is a cost for providing this service.
Which is through the assessments and the contribution. To answer your question about the dryers, our current dryers cannot be retrofitted to coin-operated capability. They would have to be replaced.
Maxine McIntosh, 68C. I've heard the statement several times that we lose money on this. We're not supposed to make money. In fact, the way our governing documents run, we're not allowed to make a profit on any of our services. Is that right? I think that is. We're not allowed to make a profit. So it doesn't matter that it's costing us money. If it's exorbitant, but this really isn't. And I am concerned about a lot of the people above age 78 who are on limited retirement income now, and the change this could make for them. I have a machine in my house, and when I use it, which I do 3 times a week, I like to hang my things to dry, so I had a special rack installed at one end of my bathtub. So I like to dry the things in my house. But there probably are people that use the washing machine and go out and use the dryer. That's all right. They're paying their assessments every month for those laundry rooms like all the rest of us are. That's okay. And I think what we need to keep in mind in here is that nothing's free. I saw the word free in writing, free drying use. It's not free. It's paid for in part out of our, actually in total out of our assessments. So there's nothing free. It's just there's no additional surcharge. There's no additional overcharge for using the dryers. And I really don't remember hearing what year it was when they started buying the machines with the coin attachments or started attaching them. And originally, I believe it was all free when the village opened. So over time, they decided to charge for the washing machines. In 2010, I believe it was, we asked for a report on what it would cost to put the meters on the dryers. The board was considering it then. And the cost came back prohibitive. They figured that it wouldn't make enough money to offset the costs, and I have no idea what the costs are today. But please keep in mind everyone that is represented here and how hard this might be for some of the people doing their loads to have this doubled, to have it increased 100%. Thank you.
Mike Landry, 693B, ditto to everything she said, but also the fact that there are people from the outside who come in here and do their laundry because it's free. That's wrong. Caregivers, kids come see Mama. Mama, I'm going to go wash my clothes because it don't cost me nothing. That's not cool. So there's got to be a way to police that. I hate to be a tattletale. I don't like having a tattle on my neighbors, but I think we all need to be much, much, much more vigilant and say, do you live here? If you do, present the card. If not, get the heck out. So how do we police that?
Just a couple of comments. I thought it's wonderful.
Excuse me, your name and...
Oh, I'm sorry. Norma Benner at 2051 Unit D.
Thank you.
$1 a load and free drying is so wonderful, has been so wonderful. And the thought of spending all that money to put in a washer and dryer in my home and take up space was something I didn't want to do. And also I loved being able to hang clothes on the lines. That was really a true luxury, to bring in the sheets that were all smelling clean and wonderful. I can no longer do my own laundry. Now I have to have someone help me with that. But I didn't want to give that up. Trying to find cold water washing, now maybe that's not going to be an issue with the solar heating, but trying to save the community money by using cold water, I didn't see how to do it with the machines in the laundry, in the laundromats. I don't know if there's an answer to that. So just wanted to make those comments. Thank you.
Barbara Copley, United. I went into the...
Excuse me, your address?
410D. I went into the occupancy agreement early this morning because I wanted to know what was provided for all of us and if it was entailed in the occupancy agreement, and it is not. It mentions utilities and refrigerators and that sort of thing, but the laundries were never mentioned, which I find kind of interesting. So when this place was built, nobody had their own washer dryer. Everybody went outside. So what is United obligated to give to us? And before you start fiddling with this, I think you better go back to the archives, go back to the documents, and see if you can come up with something that covers this issue. Because you sure don't want to spend a lot of money retrofitting dryers and all of that. We got bigger fish to fry. Come on, this is ridiculous. But go back and find out what the origin was for laundry rooms.
Jack Arnold, 404D. I have a couple of questions. One is janitorial 191, which somebody said was from GRF. Is that a assessment to United? I would suggest somebody do a motion time study on people that are doing the janitorial service. I mean, the space that our laundry is in, you could do in about 2.5 minutes. And we don't see a lot of janitorial service in our laundry room because my wife is cleaning it almost every time she goes, as Barbara does also. That is an enormous figure to be paying for that many units. The repairs, what are the most common causes of the repairs? As I understand, it's mostly people putting the wrong thing in the wrong area, putting soap in the area that softener is supposed to go in and stuff like that. Or we've had, I think in a report of January, we had some theft where they were taking out the coin machine part of it and stealing them at night. Another question I have is, and I think Barbara can verify this, when you have a person going over with a shopping cart from a grocery store and the pile of clothing is this high, who all are they doing the laundry for? Do you ever check how many people are actually living in the other units, in the units that are in United? I mean, she and I both know there's several units that have more than the limit. So and I'm not going to be calling up and saying, go check this person, check that person. I think that's somebody else's responsibility. So I think that $1 is not a great amount if you change it from 50 to $1. It's the principle, as she said, of what we started with when this organization was formed. So I think that there's a lot of cost here that could be reduced and need to be looked at as far as how are we going to do it and what can we do actually. So I think it should be re-examined. Thank you.
Excuse me, Dick Rader, 270D. I think you have a problem because you have two things that are occurring simultaneously that are going to cause this thing to continually decline in terms of the amount of money you collect from the laundry. The first is, as Steve mentioned, he said there's a continual decline. I'd like to know what that decline is. I'd like to see that based on some yearly figures before you pass this. And also, if people are installing units in their own homes, I'd like to know what that rate of increase is, because both of those things are going to drive this thing towards less money being collected. Therefore, you have a real problem. Now, as people put these units, the washer dryers, into their homes, what happens is these washer and dryers have less capacity, especially the washers. So I haven't done an estimate because I just had this placed before me today, but I think you ought to take a look at the increased water usage that's going to occur because the smaller unit in the home won't have the capacity that the laundry unit has. Also, as mentioned here, that Steve thought that maybe we could replace 525 dryers and collect 50 cents per dry time. Boy, I sure like to see an analysis how much it's going to cost for all those dryers and what the return on investment is over what period of time. I think this has to be approached from a holistic manner. That is, before you decide today, I think you ought to take up what Steve mentioned about the dryers and see if it's feasible, see if it makes sense. But I would approach this not lightly. I would take this back into committee and address some of the issues.
So can I make some responses?
Can I make a response? First of all, let me get my thoughts together again. Sorry, I've got a senior moment just come on me. This is terrible. First of all, to address something Barbara had said, no, we don't want to make a profit on any of this, but we would like to get as close to break even. You didn't say, well, whoever said it, like to get as close to break even as possible. It's not a matter of profit. And yes, someone said about the dryers being extremely expensive to retrofit them. That's absolutely right. I think I was president at the time when we actually went over that and found that to put the dryers in or to put a meter on the dryer was so cost prohibitive that we wouldn't even consider it. So I believe that that still stands. Thank you. Go ahead, Steve.
So a couple of things. First of all, I want everybody here and also watching to understand that this is not a frivolous or an unresearched topic. I've been working on this for almost 3 years. When I was an advisor on the Energy Committee for Third Mutual, I was asked to look into their laundry operations, and that's how this started. And I have a spreadsheet in front of me on my own computer that has about 1,000 cells in it that analyze the costs on the laundries for not only United but Third in 3 different mannerisms. So it's cross-checked and triple cross-checked as far as the costs. To give you some idea, someone asked about the repairs. We have 1,225 pieces of equipment in our 175 laundries. So at $133,000 in repairs, that works out to about $108 per piece of equipment per year. However, that's not even anywhere close if you want to, and I've looked at this. When you have a coin jam, because somebody puts something other than quarters into it, it goes to resident services, which goes to maintenance, and they send somebody out, and they have to pull it apart, and they have to clear the jam, they have to come back, and they have to write a report, and this goes down the line, and it's not just as simple as sending somebody out who gets paid $15 an hour for 15 minutes to take care of an issue. There's a long process in all of this, and there's a burden rate for every employee, whether it's FICA or contributions to 401k or whatever the case may be. And the repairs are what they are. What we have taken up as one of the areas of extensive research is that the utilization of our equipment is not what it was 7 years ago. And to Dick Rader, I can show you numbers on the declines of the laundry usage, but they've generally been running by about 4 to 7% per year, depending on the year. And I think actually in 2016, they stopped declining. Okay. The other issue on the janitorial, if you take into account that each one of the 175 laundry rooms is serviced by someone 17 times per year, and you take that $192,000 and you work out the number, it's about $64 for the service call in the laundry. And what that entails is sweeping the floor, mopping the floor, cleaning out the sinks. Some of the laundries have toilets they have to be cleaned, cleaning out filters, cleaning out receptacles for the soap and the bleach, wiping down the counters. And if you think $64 is a lot of money, think about what the hourly cost is to send someone. Even if they're only there for 45 minutes, they still have travel time, and there's a vehicle, and there's other things that go into those costs. You could operate the laundries for free, and we would take this $611,000 worth of total expense against all 6,300 units, and let's just, for simplicity's sake, call it $10 per man or per year. Problem with that is the people that you have coming in here who are already abusing the situation, only paying 50 cents for friends or relatives or whatever, and I've seen it firsthand in my own cul-de-sac. I've seen people who hire folks to come in and clean their units. I've seen women empty out a van with bags and bags and bags of laundry. So while they're cleaning someone's unit for $60, they've tied up all 4 of our washing machines and all 3 of our dryers over the course of an hour and a half. So how do you stop the illegal use? Well, you raise prices. That's okay. We can pay for this one way or we can pay for another. I know Brad has said to me, why are we even in the laundry business? Can't we get out of it? And again, 3 years ago, I started researching this. My first thought was, let's go to card readers. Let's get out of collecting coins. It's $250,000 just to get the equipment to retrofit the machines. Now you have to have a communication protocol so that people can swipe credit cards. Now you have to have a communications link. Now you got to have Wi-Fi, or you have to have phone lines. It's just untenable. And I can tell you from personal experience in the vending business, card readers aren't really good. They break down a lot. And when they do, they're not only expensive to replace, but the labor burden on them is remarkable. So
if you think that the laundry price is an issue, I invite everyone to go out to a commercial laundry outside the community and see how much it costs to do a load of wash. And when you go to do your drying and it's 25 cents for every 6 minutes, it's going to cost you $2.50 just to dry your load for an hour. So I would project that if you go out into the real world, it's $4 to $5 to do a load of laundry. So all we're trying to do is lose less money, and actually to make this a break even, we have to take in about $2 a load. We're talking about going from 50 cents to $1. On the dryers, by the way, dryers with coin mechanisms cost about $600 a piece. So for the 500 some odd that you would need to replace, it would be several $100,000, $350,000 for the replacement. We replace the dryers all the time anyway, every 10 years. So, you know, we just replaced all the hot water heaters in all the 175 laundries. We now have one hot water heater where we used to have 2. Yes, we spent $150,000 to replace all those hot water heaters in one fell swoop, but we don't have to replace anything for 10 years, and we have reserves built up for that. So it's a complicated thing, and all I can tell everybody here is I don't think there's anybody that knows more about the subject in laundries in Laguna Woods than me. And I'll just leave it at that.
Manny. He was first.
Hello, my name is Manuel Armendariz. I'm a resident at 913D. And I wasn't going to say anything about this, but it's a little bit controversial, so I thought I'd at least contribute my remarks on this. I worked for an apartment developer for a number of years, and we always installed laundry rooms and laundry machines. And they were one of our big money makers. And we didn't have any expenses anywhere similar to this at all. And the 2 items that I see on here that are major expenditures that I really question is the electricity and the janitorial. Now, I've lived in the community here for a year and a half. I bought my unit in July of last year. But for a year, I had to use those laundry rooms. I'm lucky now that I have a washer dryer in the unit I bought. And I'll tell you, the laundry room that I use was not really well maintained. So the point I'm making is that you look at water, and water's only just under $13,000. So these numbers really don't make any sense, those 2 major expenditures. So I would say the people that don't have washers and dryers, like I'm fortunate enough to have, and several of us are, they're going to be very upset by this. And you're not talking about reducing expenditures very much by trying to collect additional revenues. So my recommendation at this point would be leave the pricing the way it is and start charging for the dryers, because that's common practice out there, and why shouldn't you get that for free? Okay? But I think this is going to be very controversial if you raise the rates. It's like other changes that you're making right now. People have gotten accustomed to what they have. And when you make these changes, you may not realize it, but you're taking something away from them that they considered that they owned for all these years. So those are the important things you need to consider. Thank you.
Oh, no, only once, Janey. Janey, only once.
I appreciate you spending 3 years on this.
Try the mic.
Spending 3 years on trying
I'm
to
sorry,
come-
sir, you've already made comments on this subject.
You're only allowed one.
You're only allowed 1 time.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So the recommendation from the M&C committee was unanimous to raise the cost of the wash from 50 cents to $1. So if anybody wants to,
You want to make that motion?
so I'll make the motion based on the M&C committee's recommendation to proceed with that
I'll second.
discussion.
Is there any other discussion?
We already did it.
Is there any way I can make a motion saying leave the value at 50 cents?
Then you vote.
The motion currently is to raise it to $1.
Then you vote against the motion.
vote against. That's it.
Is there any other discussion?
You can amend it.
You can-
No, that would be,
Okay.
that would not be an amendment, that would be the rescission of the motion.
Yeah, rescission of the motion.
So you can't do that at this time, it's up for a vote, so we just you vote it down, and then if it votes down, it remains the same. Okay?
Okay, but all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
All those opposed?
Opposed?
6-1.
Can I make a comment about this issue?
Yes.
So a lot of good points on both sides, but California law actually addresses the obligations of a board of directors in a residential homeowners association. And the civil code is very clear that the board of directors shall levy assessments sufficient to perform the obligations of the corporation. And under the United's governing documents, the laundry facilities are common area facilities that exist today. Because they exist today, the board has an obligation to operate them. And in order to operate them, if that entails collecting a certain sum of money to pay for the expenses, then the board has that obligation to do. If it decides to subsidize those expenses partially through funds held elsewhere, then it could do that. But technically, a strict reading of the civil code would require you to collect sufficient monies to pay for the actual expenses incurred to operate those facilities, which would be if it costs $2 a load, you would collect or charge $2 a load. But the board has discretion to maybe charge $1 and then subsidize the deficiency with assessments collected elsewhere, which it sounds like that's what you're doing today.
Thank you, Jeff. Steve, would you like to discuss Johnson Controls?
Sure. If everyone isn't already aware, the solar program, we got permission to operate at the beginning of February, and we have been generating electricity ever since. I think the last time I looked, we've generated about 100,000 kilowatt hours worth of electricity in about the last 30 days. We're off to a good start. We have scheduled a meeting for the end of this month for United board members, Johnson Controls, who was the contractor for the service, and also with VMS staff, because now that the system is up and operational, there are several things that need to be attended to. First is we have a one-year contract currently with Johnson Controls for a performance guarantee. And under the performance guarantee, they will monitor and verify the performance of the solar PV system. And if it does not perform as to the original specification in the contract, then Johnson Controls will reimburse us in dollars for any amount of electricity that it did not generate. So there's a process there that JCI is going through. All of the facilities at the 8 laundry rooms have wireless communication that is constantly wired, and you can go to the Performing Arts Center lobby, and there's actually a kiosk there on display, and you can see there are several screens that are presented about how much electricity is being produced and how much carbon offset and how many trees are being saved and how much gasoline would be equivalent to. The other portion of this is the ongoing maintenance of the system. So we have two choices as a mutual. We can either perform the maintenance ourselves, or we can send it out to contract. In the original contract negotiations that the United Board did last July, the board opted
not to hire Johnson Controls or an outside contractor to be responsible for the maintenance. And that we would, the mutual would try to accomplish this in-house. The maintenance on the solar PV system is not complicated. It's not difficult. The two major portions of maintaining the solar performance are, one, making sure that all trees or bushes or obstructing plant life will not degrade the performance of the solar panels. So as this system was originally installed, some trees were removed, some trees were trimmed. So on an ongoing basis, there will be some trimming of trees, just as we trim all the trees in United now. The other major component to the maintenance of the solar system is cleaning of the panels. So there are about 2,500 panels on all of the carports, and when performance starts to degrade as a result of dirt or dust accumulating in them, they need to be cleaned. And the normal process under which they're cleaned is to truck in deionized water and to spray them down, just like a car dealer does on a car lot. They use deionized water so that the mineral content does not remain on the glass. So there's no degradation of that. So this meeting that we're going to have at the end of March with JCI and with VMS staff, we'll go through all of these issues and get them rolling for the first year so that we're doing our job for the maintenance and JCI will be responsible for that performance guarantee.
Thank you, Steve. Any comments?
I have a question. My understanding, and speaking with Lenny Ross, past president, was that we had a performance contract with them that guaranteed the savings through the 10 years of the contract. Is that correct? Because you just said it was 1 year.
So you can continue to buy the contract year after year.
So we've only paid for 1 year.
We're only going forward at this time for 1 year. You can't, the original understanding was we could buy it for any term that we wanted and we could cancel it at any time. So rather than signing a contract for 10 years for $14,000 or $15,000 per year, it's kind of like term life insurance. Rather than making the commitment to do that and putting it through the budget process, the board opted to say, okay, we'll buy it the first year, we'll see how it turns out, and if we want to continue, we can renew the contract on an annual basis.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other comments? Andre?
I guess I'm not sure about what's included in the scope of work. Is our staff's going to be heavily involved in the maintenance portion, and the Johnson Control is only an advisory role, or is Johnson Control is going to actually doing the work, and our staff will be in an observation role? Because that determines whether we can take it over or not. If our staff are just observing, I wonder if they can take over after 1 year contract. But if our staff is heavily involved and Johnson Control is just advisory role, tell them to do this, to do that, and the staff can ask questions, ask any kind of alternatives, then our staff will learn all the process and potentially take over. Of course, there will be other considerations like warranties. So my question is, how heavily our staff will be involved, or is that going to be described in the scope of work?
So there is a contract for the performance guarantee for verification and maintenance. So Johnson Controls and its subcontractors
are responsible for monitoring the system and maintaining that portion for the financial consideration. The actual maintenance of the system is the mutual's responsibility. The mutual decided not to sign a contract with Johnson Controls or one of their subcontractors for the maintenance for the first year of the system. The maintenance of the system primarily revolves around cleaning the panels. There's really no other maintenance that's required.
Any other questions? Andre?
I would assume that Johnson Control has an algorithm that determines whether, if they are not doing that, whether they will honor the warranty or not. Do we have the algorithm, or do we know how these warranties will be met if our staff takes over the monitoring and the maintenance responsibility?
Andre, I would respectfully direct you to get a copy of the contract as you're a director and read it for yourself.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to the contract. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Steve. Maggie, could you give us a report on the landscape committee, please?
Okay, we have a report. There is a report in the agenda. We have an irrigation retrofit report project in cul-de-sacs 8 and 40, and that's $250,000 budget. There's retrofitting an irrigation system with reduced turf areas and replace high maintenance and poorly performing landscaping. And we will redo 6 of the 7 water meter services in the area to increase the number of drip lines, which reduces the number of the amount of water use. Also, it will be faster for the mowers because we will be replacing the small strips of turf with bushes and shrubs that will not need the constant mowing. So there will be a twofold savings of that, okay? There is a cul-de-sac 1 seating area that was requested, and that has been agreed to. It's a seating area in the open land surrounding cul-de-sac 1 by the buildings 272, 273, 281, 283. It will be minor turf reduction, the addition of a couple of shrub beds for it and some ground cover, the removal and exchange of 1 pepper tree for another, and there will be a new granite walkway curving down the path and 2 benches. This all will be covered in the operating expenses, and it was a resident request, and the design is very nice, and it should be a good project. We have a reduced herb pesticide zone that's been in for a year. Alas, the weeds indeed have grown in there such that the time for weeding is 64 hours, while the time to apply the spray several times a year to keep the weeds down is 8 hours. So looking at that amount of time difference, plus the additional rain we've had this year, making the weeds even more flourishing than before, we decided to restore the herbicides in those 3 cul-de-sacs. So if you have weeds growing up in your cul-de-sac that are just unbelievable, that's probably one of our test areas, but we will take care of that. It will be weeded out, and then we will resume the spraying for that. It just is not in the least bit cost effective. I wanted to talk about the Yellow Stake program, which is different from what people think of it. I have several of the resolutions, all the resolutions pertaining to this. Bear with me. It's a little duplicative, but very informative. Resolved, the planting of fruit trees in common areas owned by this corporation shall be permitted. Any fruit tree henceforth planted in a common area must be dwarf. Any dwarf fruit tree planted in the common area must be directly adjacent to the installing residence dwelling unit. Any fruit tree presently planted in the common area must be marked by the installing with a yellow stake and fully maintained in a manner acceptable to the corporation. Then we have, it is the policy of United Board of Directors that all land outside the manor walls is considered common area. In the planting beds immediately adjacent to the manors, residents may plant flowers, small plants, or shrubs of their choice. They may not remove or replace shrubs that have been planted in these beds by the mutual without the express approval of the Landscape Maintenance Division of the managing agent. In all multi-resident buildings, all residents shall have equal access to the planting beds adjacent to the building on a cooperative basis. If residents cannot agree on a cooperative basis, the mutual will direct the Landscape Maintenance Division to install and maintain low-maintenance plant material at its discretion. And in the common areas, other common areas, a resident may not plant anything or remove any existing plant or tree without express approval of the Landscape Maintenance Division. Any such planting or plant removal by the resident will be corrected by the Landscape Maintenance Division at the expense of the resident. The maintenance of the mutual common areas is the responsibility of the corporation. The Board of Directors in this corporation hereby prohibits the placement of potted plants or other moisture-retaining objects on deck, breezeway, or balcony services or buildings managed by the corporation unless the following requirement is met. All potted plants shall be placed on a water-resistant surface designed to prevent moisture from such potted plants from reaching the decking, breezeway, or balcony surface on which it is placed. Any member in this corporation found to be the above violation shall be subject to disciplinary action as provided in Article 3. Tomatoes and vegetables. The growing and planting of tomatoes or other vegetables in the common areas owned by this corporation is prohibited. Privately owned object placement. The placement of privately owned object, including foundation planters, is permitted within the following guidelines. Residents may not enlarge foundation planters. Plants and shrubs which members are permitted to place adjacent to their units should be well maintained. Decorative items, landscape, garden decor, statuary, potted plants, or hanging objects may be placed in these areas as long as they do not interfere with the landscaper's work or cause a hazard to either persons or property. These items should be in good repair. Potted plants should be well maintained and empty pots removed. Upon sale of the manor, the mutual member or estate is financially responsible for the removal of personal plantings and re-landscaping in the area unless the buyer assumes the responsibility for the non-standard landscaping. Prior to any common area alteration, residents are required to contact property service and request contact with landscape supervisors. Guidelines are used for the yellow stake program for all the plantings. You do not have to have a yellow stake on all the shrubs and plants and bushes. You do have to have a yellow stake for the trees. but the requirement that it must be maintained, fully maintained in a manner acceptable to the corporation is applicable to all items that the resident puts out there. There is a way to complain about it if you feel someone is encroaching on your area or you think they are not maintaining it to a standard that is up to the village. Then fill out the compliance request form. It's the typical compliance request form. They have all these other things. There is a little block called Other. Other. This is where you would put, or actually you put your landscape complaint anywhere on it, they'll find it, but the spot really is Other. Then it goes before the compliance committee, as indeed we have dealt with many of those issues. We had these questions about landscape in the United Land Use Town Hall. What is being discussed in terms of landscaping restrictions? There were none discussed at the town hall. What are the specific regulations? I just read those to you. Are fruit trees planted in the common area considered personal property? Yes, but they are placed in the common ground. Now, this is a soft area. Jeff believes that the fruits of the tree planted in the common ground are really of the corporation. So that means any member of the corporation could yes, but who would do that? Who would do that? Jeff?
So now hearing the full policy after you've read it, technically, if you plant something on somebody else's property in the form of a tree, it becomes part of that real property and owned by the person that owns that property, i.e. the corporation. But here, listening to your yellow stake procedures, and a tree that has fruit on it planted with a yellow stake denotes the corporation's permission for you to use that dirt to harvest that tree for your exclusive use.
Uh-huh.
So in that policy, that tree would belong to you who planted it, as well as the fruit. Now, if there becomes neighbor-to-neighbor disputes with thieves stealing fruit, we'd have to adopt a new policy that says, buyer beware. If you plant something in the common area under this policy and someone's stealing your fruit, we're not getting involved in it. At least that's going to be my recommendation, because we have far greater, bigger, more important issues to deal with here than dealing with people's fruit that's being stolen.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Jeff, would that impact our land use policy?
No.
Yes, it would. It would. It would definitely, because if we're giving them common area to use for their tree or whatever.
As long as you allow somebody to unfold their lawn chair and enjoy the shade under that tree, then I don't think there's an issue. I mean, that was a joke, but possibly, depending on the tree and how much space it takes up, that could be an issue.
Mm-hmm. I'd also like to say, every now and then someone will remove a nice potted plant that you have put out there. Who would do that? Who would do that? Thank you. Let's see. That's all I have for landscape. Sure.
My name is Anna Seifert, and I'm in 232A. I just want to comment. I moved in November 19th. I put a request in for landscaping because the people had non-standard landscaping, and they took it out. I was supposed to meet with the landscape committee in December, again in February, twice in March. And I finally got to talk to them. I mean, I'm living with a home that I take very good care of inside, but it looks terrible outside. My neighbor across from me has been there since July, and she still doesn't have any landscaping in her yard. And, you know, we talk about making improvements and not letting people do some of the things they want, but the committee's not doing it. And
I'm sorry,
concerned
you did not give your name and your manor number.
Yes,
I
you
did.
did.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Anna Seifert, 232A.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to comment on that, you know. I'm willing to work with you guys, but the reverse does not seem to be happening. The last time I made an appointment with the landscape gentleman, he never showed up. I waited 3 hours. I had to cancel meetings. He finally did come back. And when I contacted the office to send him an email, they will not allow a copy of the email that's sent to him to be CC'd to me. How do I know he even gets it? She said that was not allowed. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, see me afterwards. Thank you very much.
Next meeting,
Okay.
the next.
Oh, the next meeting will be in April, what is it, April 11th or something? We were going to have it
March 22nd.
March 22nd, but Kurt will be out of town until the 25th. So they did schedule us, I believe, for April 11th.
Thank you, Maggie.
Janey?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Hi.
Joe Rainey, 889C. Maggie?
Yes.
Just one thing, and I'm going to bring it up to staff too, but a friend of mine who lives in the village told me this morning that when they do the pesticide spraying, they kill these flowers. And that's something I was going to bring up, but they have to be really careful on the weed control that they don't also kill all the flowers next to the grass. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Juanita, would you give us a report on the governing documents review?
My pleasure. The Governing Documents Committee met on Monday, February 27th, and we again looked at our bylaws. We have turned them over, we had at that time turned them over to our attorney. We were looking at some of the remarks that he had made, changes that he requested of the changes that we made, et cetera. We're going to be reviewing those in our closed session today. Some of the things that we are going to continue to meet monthly. And our next meeting will be Monday, March 27th. And a couple of the things that we're going to be looking at for this next meeting are hot tub rules. We don't have specific hot tub rules in our rules and regulations. Third does and has provided us a copy of their policy that we can look at to see if we want to do something similar. Also, the board has instructed us to meet with Property Services to look at a 90-day letter. And what this is every one of us is a lessee. We lease our manor from the corporation. It's a 3-year lease. And our governing documents specifically say it's a reoccurring 3-year lease, but most people don't realize that, don't know it, they think they own their manor. So in order just to make things clearer and also, excuse me, to take care of a few problems that we have with residents who are not living up to their obligations, 90 days in advance of the date that you purchased your share, you will get a letter that just says your lease is up in 90 days, it will be renewed, fill out this sheet. We want to make sure we have current information. We'd be surprised how many residents that we have in this community that we don't have up-to-date telephone numbers, addresses, who's living there, those kinds of things. So they're going to have to turn that in every 3 years in order to renew their lease. Now, leases are going to be renewed almost automatically unless there's a problem, outstanding fines, outstanding assessments, compliance problems, legal problems, things like that, in which case we have every right to not renew their 3-year lease. So please don't be afraid when you start getting these letters that it means that your lease is not going to be renewed. For 90%, 99% of our residents, you're doing fine, and it's just reminding you that you are a lessee, you are not an owner. So we're going to be looking at that at our next meeting. If you'd like to come and talk about it, that would be fine. The other thing that we're looking at is the schedule of monetary policies and the resolution qualifiers, the list of fees, monetary fees that we now have for different compliance matters. And we want to update that because that's been in effect for quite a while and is not really up to date. So we'll also be looking at that schedule on Monday, March 27th. And we meet at 2 o'clock in the Sycamore Room.
Thank you, Juanita. Any comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask Juanita if their committee has done some kind of a analysis as far as the cost from staff point of view, and is it necessary to send one out to everybody, or couldn't we just send the letters out to those that are in non-compliance one way or another?
If we send it to one, we need to send it to all. And we have looked at it, and as I say, we're working with Property Services. It's really not a big burden. Our computer systems now are such that it's going to be able to split us out a report. And it'll only be a smaller number every month that we send these out to, instead of 6,324 at one time. And it will be spaced out over the 90 days before and 12 months and over 3 years. That cuts it down, and we're anticipating 50 to 100 letters a month.
Okay, thank you, Juanita.
Thank you.
Communication Committee, Maggie?
Janey.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
One quick question. When someone gets this letter that your lease is to be renewed and it's ignored by the owner, the occupant, does that mean that there's some kind of legal or any action taken against him, or is there any rule?
Well, there's certainly going to be some action. If they don't reply to our letter and send back their current information, we will call them, turn it over to compliance, whatever, to make sure that they know that they didn't just throw away something that they shouldn't.
Okay.
And we'll keep trying to get the information out educationally to all of our members.
Okay.
But it doesn't automatically mean your lease is not renewed. We'll do everything we can to work with them.
Okay. Thank you, Janey.
Any other comments? Steve?
One of the considerations in the original conversations on this was it also allows the mutual and the residents to have more communication and to help the mutual head off potential issues. For example, if someone expires and they live in a manor, they may be on an automatic payment schedule with their bank, and we continue to get paid assessments, and we're not aware of the fact that the unit is no longer occupied. So this kind of helps in that regard, because if we don't hear back from someone on the renewal and we reach back out to them, if we continue still not to have any response, we can have someone do a resident check. And if we can't find someone, then, for example, one of the issues that can happen, if a manor remains uninhabited for a period of time, the plumbing isn't being used, the toilet isn't being flushed, if there was a leak or a plumbing issue or whatever it is. So it's not just about renewing the lease, it's helping the entire community stay on top of, avoiding catastrophic situations.
Any more comments? Brad?
Yeah, another issue that we commonly have is after someone passes away, you have a squatter, either a caregiver, a underage relative, any number of scenarios where folks who have no right to occupy the unit have taken up residence, and it is incredibly difficult to get them out. And so we have a number of cases like that that we're processing right now. So this will aid in that as well in terms of the detection, not the removal necessarily.
Thank you. Any other discussions? Okay. Maggie, could you give us a report on the Communication Committee?
Okay, thank you to the following people for articles for March and April: Juanita, Janey, Chance, Don, Andre, and myself, and of course, Jan before. But Carol St. Hilaire, if for directors, if you have something you want written, just send a sketch of it if you don't want to write it out. If you just want to give us the ideas. As I say, Carol St. Hilaire is an excellent writer. She can turn what I say gravel into M&Ms. So she's that good, folks. She's that good. Okay, so don't be afraid to just send us something boldly sketched out. She will fill it out for you. Our firm deadline is the Friday after this board meeting. But our soft deadline is the Friday before this meeting, wherein we try to get most of the stuff into Heather. And then we have this week to firm up anything that we did at this meeting, which might be included. We have a section called Items of Interest, or Bits and Pieces, or Reminders and Notes. It's named differently each time. So if you have a suggestion of something that would be included in errata, whatever you want to call it, it's just a reminder. For example, I'm going to have a reminder out that you should not run your air conditioner 24 hours a day ever, or you will have leaking in the condenser, and that will be a problem that you will not discover. So I'm trying to find out exactly how many hours it must be down a day. Maybe 4 to 6 hours is what I got. So a tidbit like that, which will let us know, or a tidbit of where we can do something or what we can do. But handy hints like that, and telling people about where something is and how to do it. Just those little bits. I'll put those in because those are interesting for people. They kind of make you think. Okay, thank you. That's it for that committee thing.
On the agenda, we have a report of the Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings. Don Tibbetts, and I don't believe we have a report today.
No.
So we'll go ahead and take care of that next month. Hopefully Don will be back with us. The next is the Preparedness for Disaster Task Force. Andre.
Okay, just for the record, this is a Preparedness for Disaster Ad Hoc Committee of the board. I don't know what's the difference between ad hoc committee and task force, just for the record.
I know.
On Thursday, March 2nd, this year, we met in the Cypress Room and reviewed a few issues. Third Mutual Board Director John Franco presented a safety element of City Laguna Woods General Plan, talk about hazard events like fire, flood, earthquake, faults, landslide, liquefaction, and crime issues. And those issues were already addressed, and they are also, I believe they are also considered in the VMS security preparedness for disaster plan in there. And VMS, basically, this is a VMS-driven task. The Security Department has already developed reviewed a general approach, and the comprehensive plan will be presented in either late March or early April. Pilot study of existing neighborhood captains have been performed, and some response have been received. So we are looking forward to strengthen the process and build up the resources at this point. As far as United Mutual side, there will be the whole process. We haven't really started yet. We are waiting for the general comprehensive plan from the Security Department. We understand that Chief Tim Moy is expert in that area, and he's working with consultants specialized in citywide disaster preparedness program. So we're waiting for that, the general plan. We don't want to jump the gun and take any actions before the final plan is available and finalized to us. Our basically United Mutual activities will include gaining the resident support, providing the emergency supplies, and how much will they cost, and where will they be stored, and how often will the supplies be updated, and how to recruit the residents and the volunteers, how to maintain their involvement. So our next meeting will be Thursday, May 4th. That's 2 months later, at 10 p.m. in the Cypress Room. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Any questions, discussion? Okay, thank you. The next is, Juanita, could you please give us a report on the disciplinary cases?
We had a total number of cases this month of 302, and that's up considerably from January of 228 and December of 233. We also had 105 resolved this month, which is considerably more than the 23 that we had in the 2 months before. And we have to give our compliance department really kudos for following up on this, for doing it, for doing the inspections, for coming back to us with any disciplinary hearings, et cetera. A lot of these things have not really been enforced before, and now they are, and we really appreciate it. Some of the things we still need to look at, believe it or not, we had 11 abandoned vehicles this month. People who don't get tags for their cars and just leave them in a carport, or in many cases on the street, and they're not functional. Balcony clutter was up to 12. Carport clutter was up to 34. Illegal occupancies were up to 33. We're really starting to catch those. That's up from 19 last month. Landscape issues were up to 26 from 10 last month. Nuisance, this is one of our big things, and mostly these are neighbor-to-neighbor disputes. And nuisance can be anything from barking dogs to smelly cats to one of our big ones is smoking. There are lots of different nuisance issues, and those are brought to us, and those were up to 46 this month as opposed to 28 last month. And then we have unauthorized alterations. People who feel it's easier to go ahead and do it and then ask forgiveness later than to do it the right way, get permission, go through the permit process and that kind of thing. So that was up to 33 this month. Staff tells me this is a normal trend for this time of year as members are starting to do spring cleaning, and that particularly is why our clutters are so far up, and anticipates that this will decrease next month, and we certainly hope so.
Any discussion?
I have a comment. The total number of cases should be on record, mentioned there. It's not. It's not that many. We didn't receive 302 cases in February. It's the total.
That's the total, yes,
Yeah.
but that's
So it
up
should
from
be-
228 the month before.
Yeah, so it should be the total number of cases on record instead of just putting it there, so that many cases.
Okay, thank you.
See what I mean?
Any other discussion? Thank you, Juanita. On to unfinished business. We have two resolutions in unfinished business. Madam Secretary, please read the first resolution.
Okay, at one of our board meetings, Steve Leonard and I were asked to review the parking policy, the decal policy, and to come up with a new resolution that would be one decal for a one-bedroom manor and two decals for a two-bedroom manor, with the ability to ask for a variance for more if you need it. And so this is the resolution. Whereas the traffic rules and regulations are intended to mirror the Common Vehicle Code and to adhere to the Davis-Sterling Act, and whereas the Parking Committee of this corporation recognizes the need to amend a portion of the mutual traffic rules and regulations, now therefore be it resolved as of March 14th, 2017, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the revised United Laguna Woods Mutual traffic rules and regulations as attached to the minutes of this meeting, and resolved further that the resolution 01/1632, adopted April 12, 2016, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of the resolution. And so let me just, because those of you at home do not have a copy of this, although you can go online and find not only from this, but our traffic rules and regulations, but the changes to section 5.5, resident vehicle decal limit. Each manor is allowed to receive a limited number of GRF decals based on the number of original construction bedrooms. 1-bedroom manor up to 1 decal, 2-bedroom manor up to 2 decals. Decals may be issued in any combination to eligible motor vehicles, golf carts, golf cars, up to the total authorization of the manor. Decal counts do not include motorhomes or commercial vehicles stored in the GRF recreation vehicle area. At least one vehicle must park in the carport. A variance request for additional decals at a cost of $25 per variance request must be submitted for review and approval. An RFID sticker may be required also as an additional cost. I move this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Question. About additional decals that cost 25 per variance request, is that per year or one time?
It's per variance request. We have a cost for all variances that go in for staff and administrative time.
Okay, so one time.
One-time fee.
Okay.
Cash?
Looks like instead of number of bedrooms in a manor to give the decals, we should have residents in that manor. Because you're discouraging people from owning a golf cart because they have to have a car. So you're charging them another $25.
There will be an excess fee. Our parking is so bad that we have to find some way to limit it. When this village was built, we got a carport, and 1 vehicle per manor was standard. We have increased and increased and increased, and we have more people in the manors, and we have more motor vehicles, and we don't have parking. This doesn't say you can't get another decal. It just says you have to go through the variance process in order to do it, so that we have some control over how many cars are in the.
So if in a 1-bedroom manor, there's husband and wife living, you're allowing them only 1 car?
No?
Yes,
Or
one
additional-
decal, they have to apply for a second one.
Janey?
Any other? Steve?
So, just so everyone has a good clarification on this, if you assume 1 carport for each manor, we have parking for 6,323 vehicles, okay? Currently in United, we have, in addition to the 6,323 carports, we have 1,056 unassigned striped parking spaces. How do I know that? I personally counted them all.
In the cul-de-sacs, not
Yes,
counting.
correct. So we have a total parking facility of 7,379 spaces. Now, again, remember the unassigned parking spaces are also for the use of guests or caregivers or, someone who's making a delivery, not contractors, so that everybody knows who's watching. The rules are contractors are not allowed to park in the cul-de-sacs and unassigned parking spaces or adjacent to the sidewalks. They may drop their materials and their personnel, and they are supposed to park their vehicles on the named streets. So if you didn't know that, now you do. Getting back to the calcs, we have parking for 7,379 spaces. We currently have 7,668 automobiles, 523 golf carts, and 34 motorcycles, for a total of 8,227 vehicles. That's the problem, okay? This is further exacerbated by some degree because many manor residents don't use their carports. They're actually vacant because they can park on curb on a named street like Avenida Sevilla right in front of their residence, and their carport isn't being utilized. And there's really nothing that we can do about that because the carport is tied to the tenancy agreement. So we can't take it away from them or reassign it. So talked about this quite a bit, and the variance process is specifically there to allow people to get additional decal when it's really required. This is also going on in Third Mutual as well, and we'll look at the red striping, as I spoke to earlier, about now that we no longer have bus stops. But think about it this way. If you allowed a decal for everybody who wanted one, and they all had 2 cars and a golf cart, you'd have to have 19,000 stickers. There's no way we can accommodate that for parking. So this is just trying to pull this back going forward, and I think that we'll all see that as technology changes as well, many people are going to give up a second car because they will have ride share or other autonomous vehicles coming in the next 4 or 5 years. So.
Thank
Or
you,
use the
Steve.
bus.
Or use the bus.
Andre?
Thank you, Steve. Give a very thorough calculation of the numbers. May I ask if under this 1 bedroom up to 1 decal, 2 bedrooms and up to 2 decals, if it's fully satisfied, fully utilized, how many parking space, including the carport, do we need? Do you have that number?
Well, we have
You just read it.
8,227 vehicles registered, and we only have parking for 7,379. So you're already blown out by about 850 vehicles presently. And the previous accommodation for decals was up to 3, I believe. So, you know, this is kind of like sticking your finger in the dike. We got to reel this kind of back in and kind of get some control over it.
Any other discussion, Pat?
Yes, Steve, you said that you didn't have any solution as far as people who will not park in their carports. Couldn't we have some kind of a system where if we know that those people are not parking in their carports, we identify that car and send them a little ticket or something?
I'd like to hear what Jeff has to say about taking somebody's carport away from them because they're not using it.
No, I'm not saying you're taking it away from them. I'm saying when you identify someone who is not parking in their carport,
Right.
that we give them a little fee, a little fine or something. What do you say, Jeff?
Well, there are many communities with parking problems, parking and pets, big ones. The one thing I've seen is that rules be adopted that require residents to park in one location first, and then they can park in other locations, which I believe you have.
Right.
So if they're not following that procedure, then you can call them to a hearing and consider imposing discipline.
So we could have a small fine or something for that.
Something for us to look into. Maggie?
In the olden days, when I first moved in here, people used to rent out their parking spaces, and that was easy. So somebody with a golf cart would just rent that spot. Somebody with the third car would rent that spot. But it was only for like $5 or $10 or $25 a month, and people just aren't bothering with that anymore.
It's still being done.
But it's still being done. But if that were more widespread, then we would curb our own problem to some degree.
Cash?
In your speech, you said that we have 6,334 or 24 carports. But we do also have cartports. Did you include those in this number? Because I don't know how many we got.
No, and I don't know what the exact count is. I know it's really small, Brad, do you happen to know? I think there's like
Every carport has
8 golf cart carports that have 6 spaces each. I want to say it's like 48 or something like that.
It's not that one.
No, it's not.
Negligible.
It's
yeah.
negligible. And if you think about it, if you were to design this community starting today, would you say, well, how many golf carts were people going to want to have if we've got 27 holes of golf? Right? Are you going to say, well, we'll build 48 golf cart parking spaces for 6,323 manners? And you would have provided something. So it's, as designed and now different.
Any more discussion? Joe?
Joe Rainey, 889C. Steve, do you have a golf cart?
No.
Okay. I've got a golf cart. If they don't approve my variance because I have 2 vehicles and 1 golf cart, and we have 2 bedrooms. So if I request a variance and it's not approved, is the policy that I have to sell my golf cart?
No, you can get rid of your wife, Joe.
Well-
You can start there. That's a tough one, isn't it?
But you know what? With the bus system, I am considering selling my car.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So
So then I would be down to 2. So
we
that
talked
might-
about this
Okay.
quite a bit, and,
Okay.
and I want everybody who's watching or will watch in the future, that, when we have conversations about these issues and we have recommendations from the committees, these are all very well-considered issues. Somebody doesn't just wake up on Monday and say, hey, I have an idea, let's vote it in the next board meeting. It goes around and around and around for quite a while. But I think it's important to realize that this resolution, as it's written, is going to be in effect from this point forward. This is for new registrations, right? So what you have, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor until we change that.
Grandfathered in.
I'm just saying, you're kind of grandfathered in. And one of the issues, just to give you an explanation, you may have a husband and wife who have 2 vehicles, and now they make an application for a full-time caregiver, and the caregiver has a car. Well, if you need a caregiver, do you need 2 cars? I mean, are you both? So, there are a lot of different perspectives that bring this to bear.
Go ahead, Maxine.
Maxine McIntosh, 68C. I think something that would help is to have a dynamic new focus in the community on carports, carport usage, accuracy of the right carport. We're having a problem right now in my carport of several mix-ups, and apparently one that we were renting for 8 years, that person passed away, so we said, we talked to the new people that bought the home, may we rent it? And they said yes. They're Chinese, but they understood, and they said yes. And then they told us we'd been using the wrong one for 8 years, that the previous owner was sure was her assigned carport. And then now this is just recently, and then just about a week ago, we found out there were 2 people moving into a manor, and these 2 people went to a carport that I'm sure belongs to one of the manors in our building. I'm dead certain. And they cut the locks off and took the stuff out and disposed of it that were in the cabinet, thinking it was theirs. And secondhand, I heard from another neighbor who parks in that carport that they were told by the real estate agent. So I'm thinking if we get some good information out there and allow people to have a copy of the map of the carport as to which unit belongs in each one. I went to the service desk, and they said I couldn't have that. All they could do is tell me the number of my carport. But, that's not personal information. Everybody sees who parks their cars. We'd just like to all be sure we're in the right spot. And then at the same time talk about shortage of space, which you've done before, but at that point, bring it in again. Shortage of parking spaces. Would you consider, do you have an empty carport, would you consider renting it to someone else? Really pump this up a lot. Since we moved here in 1993, we've always rented someone else's carport for our second car. And for a while, the storage cabinet that went with it, and sometimes not. So I've been in several different cul-de-sacs doing that, and it always seemed to work out well. And even though it's $25 or $20 a month, if you're luckier, if you give it to them in one check, like I always did once a year, they were always grateful to have that nice, comfortable-sized check. So I think a lot of publicity could be very good on this.
Why don't we put you in charge of that?
Oh, and I'll put it in the
brief.
odds and ends or bits and pieces section too.
I think there is something that we could do like that. When Ken Hammer was running the parking committee many years ago, this was a topic that was brought up but didn't seem to catch any traction. And I know that now that Brad has Chuck Holland in IT, we may be able to find some way to facilitate this a little better.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, Steve, historically what happened there is that I started the parking committee about 3 years ago, I believe it was. And we did come up with a resolution, but we capitulated on the number of decals that they could have.
Right.
So what you've got here is an improvement. I hope it's not too severe, though.
Right.
Thank you.
We're trying to make it so it's not severe, so if there is actually a need, like for example, if a working couple buy a one-bedroom unit and they both have jobs and they both have to, get back and forth every day, well, they'll make an application for a variance, and then obviously that's a necessity, so.
Hopefully it'll.
Any other discussion?
The variance is just a one-time fee, it's not an annual fee, right? Or
Correct.
is that going to be one time?
You have to go to the podium.
You have to come up to the lectern.
Hi, my name is Anna Seifert, 232A. I'm having trouble discerning whether this is, like, I moved in November, and I was told that we could have, the 3 vehicles. I have a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
Is this for new people, or are we taking what we have away from the people who thought,
It's going forward.
okay, so I could still have 3, but somebody else that buys today can't,
Correct.
correct?
Hopefully that's,
He's looking at me like
hopefully that's not going to happen.
Without a variance.
that, without a variance. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the resolution to the parking decal policy.
Right. So did you move it?
All those, yes.
Do we have a second? Right.
All those in favor? Was a unanimous vote.
Yeah,
Yes,
30 days.
right.
Mention 30 days.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So the resolution must postpone to May to confirm the 30-day notification requirement. Okay. Juanita, we have another resolution?
Yes, we do.
I have these. They're not a-
I'm looking right at it.
Okay. This one's a little bit different because this particular resolution was approved at our legally open March 3rd board meeting. So the 30-day started then, and so it's postponed to the April meeting, not the May meeting, for its 30-day notification. But since that meeting was not televised, I will read the resolution. 2017 Collection and Lien Enforcement Policy. Whereas in accordance with California Civil Code, the United Laguna Woods Mutual maintains a collection and lien enforcement policy that outlines the procedures, policies, and practices employed by United Laguna Woods Mutual in enforcing lien rights and on other legal remedies for default in payment of assessments. And whereas the mutual would like to formulate certain practices and procedures used for the collection of non-assessment delinquencies, such as fines, fees, chargeable services, pursuant to the governing documents and current law. Now therefore be it resolved, April 11th, 2017, that the Board of Directors hereby adopts a revised 2017 Laguna Woods Mutual Collection and Lien Enforcement Policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolved further that the officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. So the only thing that is changing on this is that it would be used for collection of non-assessment delinquencies. And I just have to say, we have a number of people who get fines and fees and chargeable services, and they just forget them because there's no way that we're going to go after and collect them. So we need to do that. I move this resolution.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Brad?
Yeah, I really applaud you taking this on, for one thing. We need more tools to collect that. But I wanted to add that JRF considered an opinion by their counsel about delegating the cable disconnection to the mutuals. And so they're working on Fred Whitney is working on a instrument that would facilitate you being able to take that action yourself instead of referring it to JRF for some action down the road. We're in arrears, probably 49 of those hearings right now, and we really haven't started it yet. And so we're trying to catch up, but in the future, we'd like to see the mutuals do that all in one fell swoop. Have your discipline hearing and then let them know what's going to happen if they don't pay.
Any other discussion?
A question, Maxine McIntosh, 68C. Why do we need drones in our community?
No, this is not the drone.
Oh, I'm still one behind.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
Mary
two
told me.
behind, three behind.
I've got to catch up.
Thank you, Maxine. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Cash?
It's unanimous. Item C, we have a request for the vinyl caseway at Chaseway, excuse me, at 107G. That's an M&C discussion.
But there is a resolution.
Okay. I didn't see this.
Variance request, this is Resolution 117. Resolved March 14th, 2017, that the variance request of Ms. Marnell Barber at 107G via Estrada to retain vinyl chaseway of the central heating and air conditioning is hereby approved. And resolved further, all future costs and maintenance associated with the subject alteration are the responsibility of the mutual members at 107G via Estrada. And resolved further, as required, as mutual and City of Laguna Woods permits must be obtained and the appropriate City of Laguna Woods permit numbers must be submitted to the Permits and Inspections Office located in the Laguna Woods Community Center. Resolved further, and this is what it's all about, all alterations must be installed in accordance with United Laguna Woods Mutual Standards Section 6 air conditioning, with the exception of the vinyl chaseway allowance per this variance. So this one is being grandfathered in, but in the future, we will not allow the vinyl for many reasons, painting and shatterproof, all
Right.
kinds of things.
It's on page
So-
20C2 of 5 are the problem.
Right, in your subject report. So this resolution just says, well, we're grandfathering this one in to allow her to keep it. It's already in. In the future, we will go back to Mutual Standards, Section 6, air conditioning. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Okay. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Under new business, entertain a motion to approve the drone policy.
Okay. Coming up. Okay, the drone policy. Maxine, now we're on the drone policy. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation Board of Directors adopted a drone policy to fairly and reasonably address small unmanned aircraft systems known as drones in Laguna Woods Village, and whereas drones are regulated by the FAA, and whereas staff members have received numerous requests from various residents to fly drones in the community, now therefore be it resolved, May 9th, 2017, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the drone policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolved further that the policy shall be put into effect June 1st, 2017, to allow GRF and the mutuals to adopt the same policy. And there should be a T there, sorry. It's not he. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the resolution. Now, attached to this, that you can go on and read, is the drone policy, the subject report of why, and the forms that need to be filled out, the application for a drone permit, so that we know who are flying drones in our community and why, and have some regulation over it. I move this resolution.
Discussion?
How are we going to enforce this?
Oh, wait, okay.
Just a second.
I have-
Had her hand.
I have several questions. Brad, do you have some answers for me before I speak and scare everybody?
Actually, I think I do.
Okay.
But I'm not seeing them here. Uh-oh. No, I printed them out. Maybe you should speak.
What's your question?
Well, Brad,
You have them? Here we go. That's what I printed out, exactly.
Okay.
while Brad is looking that up, do you want me to give you a brief overview?
That would be great.
Right, that would
Thank
be
you.
good.
Friday I'm speaking on this subject in front of several hundred certified community managers in Anaheim at a law conference. And the use of drones in residential communities has come in the forefront through legislation, new legislation in California, and also through the press. There have been newspaper articles published throughout the country involving drones being used to film wildfires, interfering with first responders, drones going rogue, crashing in the U.S. Open, behind a skier in a competition, in Pasadena, crashing in the debris, cutting an 11-month-old baby in the head and bruising her face, crashing the power lines in West Hollywood, interrupting service power to over 1,000 residents. So there are clearly issues associated with the use of drones and obvious, just based on the newspaper articles, risk, right? Damage to property and damage to persons. The use of airspace is regulated by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and it's governed by the federal government as well as the state. In California, well, the federal law you have in front of you through this resolution, in the policy, it lists what has to be done on a federal level. If you're flying a drone that weighs over 0.55 pounds, you have to register it through the FAA, and you're given a number, and that number has to be put on the drone. That way, if it goes rogue and it's found, you can call the FAA and punch in that number, and you know whose drone it is. If it weighs less than half a pound, then it doesn't have to be registered. Is there a way, and then lastly, California law has several regulations that address the use of drones under the penal code as well as the civil code, but the most common has to do with trespass over others' property and the use of drones in school zones. You cannot fly a drone over somebody else's property without their written consent. This resolution gives residents the consent they need to fly drones over your property. So technically, without this resolution, nobody could do it because it's not their property to fly drones over. So that's number one. Number two, even if they are given that consent under the penal code, which is a criminal law, nobody can fly a drone in such a way that appears to be engaging in lewd conduct, like peeping into people's windows. Remember, the use of drones includes not just flying a unmanned aircraft system, but also using that system to view images that could be captured by still photos or video. You don't know if that's taking place or not. Most of them do have that capability. So with that, this policy, which I've reviewed, certainly does as much as you can do to manage the risk associated with the use of drones in your community. There's nothing that could be put into place to eliminate the risk. But what can be put into place, just like you do with many other areas you regulate, is to manage the risk at a certain reasonable level, like requiring them to carry insurance, requiring the applicants to tell you what their flight plan is. To Steve's point, I heard Steve under his breath mention before you call for discussion, how do you enforce this? That's the million-dollar question I have. Who's going to be out there comparing the flight plan that was identified in the application with the actual flight plan of the user? And then also, how do you coordinate this between Third and United, the towers, and GRF? That's something just from an operational standpoint, I had a question about. But that's just my general thoughts to you and information about the use of drones in communities.
Brad?
Oh, sorry. Brad, do you have more?
I do have more.
Thank you.
It's an interesting emerging, a little bit like autonomous vehicles. It's an emerging technology. Actually, it's probably emerged now. The regulatory environment is very strong. You really almost have to be a pilot to operate one of these that exceeds the was it 0.55 pound threshold? 0.5 pound? It's all the federal regulation, new state laws. It really is this is an addition really locally to those fairly strong regulations that are already in place, though I suspect over time will get much stronger as more issues emerge. We're adding a dose to that already exists. The primary concerns that people seem to have are really privacy issues. That seems to be the big issue. And I would submit to you, not having a policy is not going to help that at all. Because somebody who would use a drone to peep in your window, over your backyard, or to engage in paparazzi-like activities probably isn't going to get a permit from Laguna Woods Village, file a flight plan, register their drone with the FAA, or any of those other things that are required. And so I think privacy and safety and liability exposure are all greatly enhanced by this policy compared to doing nothing. And so that is why we're proposing it. We own a drone here in the village, and we use it for mainly for TV6 purposes, but we have some interest in using it for maintenance purposes as well. For example, we just had some pretty good rains. We have flat roofs. It would have been nice to take the drone out and fly those roofs and see where we have ponding on those roofs. So there's a lot of very practical and communication reasons to use a drone, and we urge you to adopt the policy, but keep in mind that we'll be back. This is a changing environment, and whether you adopt it or not, we'll still be back because things will be changing over time.
Maggie.
Okay, yes. The issue is extremely difficult. It's one of these new issues for us. Either you have to ban them from the community, or you have to develop a system like an airport has where you can see what's flying over here and over here and over here to have perfect protection. My issues and all my things are about privacy, and I'll read this to you. Now, some of these questions have been answered. It's up to you to decide. It's up to us to decide. Is it better? The value of a drone for security and contract and construction and maintenance is unmatched. Unmatched. but the possibility, the potential is kind of frightening. We just hope people don't go to us. So this is what I wrote, which I sent. I don't know the laws about drones which might protect us in the village, but I have concerns. People who own property beneath airspace have property rights and protections against personal injury, noise, and vibrations. The airport operator is the party liable for all injuries and claims. That would be us. The current laws about drones seem completely inadequate. Resident privacy needs protection laws are being discussed about not giving permits to convicted sex offenders and to those with protective orders against them. But that's an extremely short list compared to the many people who simply enjoy bothering others. You can launch your drone from your backyard. If the drone operator does not fly out of an airport, who is responsible for injury or damage caused by the drone? Well, because we allow them in here, we are. There are 20 drone models with cameras for under $100 available at JCPenney today. There are hundreds of thousands of drones available online. A person does not necessarily have a reasonable expectation of privacy even behind a fence or a garden wall if persons in a private airplane overhead can see activity with the enclosure. California holds a person liable for the physical invasion of someone else's privacy when that person knowingly enters into the airspace above the land of another without permission. The law applies when the entry was done to capture any type of visual image, sound recording, or physical impression of the landowner engaging in private activity. And the invasion must happen in a way that would be offensive to a reasonable person. That's the paparazzi law. We are a gated community and our expectation is great. Our boards make regulations to prevent annoyance and breaches of our privacy. We have guidelines against nuisance. But what will protect us from drones? The drone policy before us today gives us little sense of security. Once we okay drone flight in our community for the very best of reasons and for all the good purposes, then regulation becomes almost impossible. A flight plan by the authorized people must be turned in, but who will be sure it's being followed? And how will a resident know if the drone flying around their manor is authorized? By this policy, a person 18 years older or older must be the flyer. But in reality, anyone, a relative, employee, friend, resident, can enter the village with a gate pass, take a box out of the car, set up, and begin to fly. Who would know? Who will police the sky and monitor drones being flown? Who will be sure any drone does not hover in a patio, an atrium, or next to a balcony window, or viewing or recording all that it is sight? Atriums are roofless glass-walled rooms inside our homes. Patios are semi-private with views into our homes. A plane overhead does not see what a drone can. How is a resident protected from voyeurism or photoing of belongings and furnishings? What is to keep a drone out of our patio, atrium, or balcony? Is there a way to instantly capture an unauthorized drone? If a resident wants to call about a hovering or noisy drone, who do we call? How do we report it? Will flight plans be publicized daily on TV6? Do we have to wait for the bulletin board to find the flight schedule? How will we know that that's the flight schedule for that drone? How long can a drone fly over a given area? Dawn to dusk, 12 hours. 10 to 12 hours is the allowed time. How many security man-hours and how much technical equipment will be needed to monitor our airspace? How you pick up unauthorized flights? Will hovering or low-flying drones make dog barks or make noise that irritates residents? How is that monitored? Even limiting the drones to commercial and publicity uses for the village brings up these questions because once you have drones up, anyone else can send them up. Thank you.
Jane?
Steve?
So I have a question for Jeff. In your considered opinion, since United Mutual owns all of the property within its boundaries, it's the mutual's airspace, not individual's airspace, would our mutual possibly be better served just banning the operations of drones, period?
Yes.
Thank you.
And let me explain. From a risk management standpoint, having a ban on drones is the most risk-conservative approach you can take. But so would be filling in your pools and spas and facilities, right? I mean, there's a balance. There's a balance you want to strike. So if the needs of the community are such that you're getting that sense that residents need and want to fly drones, this is the next best step. If you're not getting that sense, I have many clients that have flat-out bans in their communities because the people that are interested in flying them go down the street to the park and fly them there. So it's one of those things where I'm comfortable either way. It's what the needs of United Mutual are in this particular situation. And let me point out, there's a distinction here too between VMS operating drones to carry out their duties and functions VMS owes to United as a managing agent. That's commercial use, and that can be permitted through your agreement with VMS. And your insurance department agent need to be made aware of that use because your policy excludes claims arising out of the use of aircraft, and there's a special endorsement for claims arising out of drone use, which if this policy is adopted, you want to make sure that any operator of a drone has that endorsement as well, because carrying a typical liability policy is meaningless because their policy has the same exclusion. You want to make sure they have an endorsement for that type of claim. That's different. What's also different is allowing a third-party outsider come into your community to film versus a resident. Different risk, different ways to manage that.
Juanita?
Well, I just wanted to point out that GRF has already passed and adopted this. They're asking us to do it, to have the same policy. It's going to be difficult if they have drones for the amenities. For instance, Clubhouse 1, how do we keep them out of United airspace if we banned them? I think we are much better going along with the very considered drone policy that has taken a long time. I know Andre can speak to this too. We're on the from the Community Access Committee that they've taken a lot of look at and decided how they could do it and what the feasibility is. There's never 100%. I mean, we register cars, we might as well register drones. There are lots of different things that we do to control, and it's not always 100% successful, but at least if we have a policy such as this, we've got some legal base to stand on.
Andre, you had your hand.
I was on the GRF Security and Community Access Committee, and we passed this for GRF. There's some concerns about whether the safety about the use of drone and the reason for using drones. First, let me address a little bit about the use of drone. The reason we need that is because there's a real estate needs that they can film their units, so when they sell their unit, it will be easier for them to see related areas, how this one works. Second, there are construction needs. Sometimes you cannot climb up the roof, so it's much easier just to have a drone fly over and take pictures and understand what other things needs to be done. And also, as far as the insurance side, yes, indeed, it's documented in the drone policy on page 6 of 8, agenda item 21A. The drone operator, well, actually, let's start from conditions. Page 5 of 8, agenda item 21A. Condition number 3, a drone is not allowed to operate unless a permit is granted by GRF and United. Okay, so there is a permit, and within the permit is 3.C. The person in charge must submit a flight plan. Okay, so this person is not willy-nilly to fly all over the places without permission. He must file a flight plan and state the purpose and what kind of route it's intended to use. So we can easily identify whether this person is really trying to fooling around, or trying to do a serious business. As far as how to enforce it, there's no way we can enforce it unless we have somebody sitting there. We cannot enforce people's driving. We cannot enforce people's behavior. All we can do is, if the residents found out it's something fishy about the drone, they'll report to should call security department, and then make sure it's the person get caught and understood that he's not following his flight plan. Also on page 6 of 8, agenda item 21A. Okay, did I mention that on the top of the page, it must provide proof of liability insurance, so they are responsible for any damages they caused. So basically, I would think that most issues are covered, and because we have needs in this area, I would suggest that we approve this drone policy, so at least we have something under control. Even if this is a new technology, we cannot stop all new technology and say we don't want to do this one, we don't want to do that one. The better way is to say, okay, let's regulate it and make sure that it will follow our regulation from now on. Thank you.
Pat? I move that we accept this drone policy, which is consistent with the GRF drone
We already
policy.
have a motion on the floor, moved and seconded. We just
Okay,
need to
well,
vote.
Cash?
Vote.
I think we should modify this after what I hear, that commercial use of the drones should be acceptable, not recreational.
It's in there,
Because-
Cash.
Yeah.
It's
It's
in here?
included,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Take a vote on it.
Maggie?
Okay, so what we're doing is weighing, and we're saying the good values are what we're going for. The uncontrollable, the nasty, my prior client's activity will go on, but the good value to us outweighs the bad value. I've explained the bad value as best I could, and when you go home tonight and you look at your place and you look at the places around you, be aware this may change, And so what we decide is whatever we feel will be best for us of the two sides.
Maxine McIntosh, 68C. Attorney Beaumont touched on what I want to say when he was talking about what other communities have done. I think this policy, everything here, is very appropriate for like VMSI. Let them use the drones. But out around my house and around my neighbors' homes, no. What's the purpose? Just fun. So somebody gets out there with the drone. Is it fun for them just to run it in a circle or around a tree or two? It's so easy to be abused and maybe us not be aware of it. So then you have to deal with all these complaints. I can see a real hornet's nest here. You could have the policy that will have a good policy like this for any of the staff can be left in charge of deciding that. If real estate agents say they want to do that, maybe that could be allowed. But not just carte blanche for everybody who lives here. we don't own the property. So we don't quite have the same control as somebody who owns the property they're living on. And protection, perhaps, I'm not sure, privacy. But you could say, all right, the regular members who just want to play and have fun with their drones could do it at the park. They have a wide open space there. There's a lot of room. But why around our homes? Think how few of us have much space. So if this could be limited, I think it would be very dynamic. And don't worry about what GRF has done. GRF doesn't own one manor in this community, not one home.
They have to fly over it.
And so then they have to give the letters out and the permits just for their activity in their property. Flying over the golf course, there's a lot of room there. That's fine. But not among our houses, our patios, our company coming to our door. Oh, that's terrible.
Mary?
Mary Stone, 356C. Yes, I really think that the policy should be limited to VMS and/or approved commercial users, and I think that residents and lessees should be eliminated from, or should be banned for flying drones in the community. I think there are some good reasons for allowing VMS and other commercial. Now, when I say commercial users, I'm thinking more like Google Maps or something like that. I am not thinking real estate people. They can drive their car into the community, take all the pictures they want of the unit, but I don't want them flying over my house. You know, I think that if you're mapping the community for something specific, I think that's okay. And I think that it's with proper notification of the residents if something is going to be flying over them. So I think we should eliminate residents and members and lessees from being approved for flying drones.
Vote? No, we have another comment. Cass.
The purpose in the drone policy right there says residents and/or approved commercial users. I want to exclude residents' use of the drones. Strictly make that commercial users approved by our management or our board. This one clearly says anybody can.
Anyone with $1 million insurance policy, yes.
Yeah, that's fine. But
That's a pretty high hurdle for somebody who wants to go out to the park on Saturday.
$1 million policy doesn't cost $1 million.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
but it's not free either.
It's a liability. That doesn't mean a resident can come in and fly a drone for recreational use at somebody else's manor. This one, he is allowed to do that.
One more comment?
Initially, the reason for the resident is they were talk about other non-resident flying drones. That's definitely prohibited. Okay, and so that's the reason for the resident only. Okay, and the residents here, I don't think people will, unlikely that they will do those things that, and they have a flight plan. They have to file a flight plan. And if they file a plan, say, I want to film real estate, say, I want to film manor number 123A, and they fly over somewhere else, then they are violating their flight plan. So that's unlikely. And whether they will follow it or not, that's a difference, that's an enforcement issue, okay? And that needs to be considered, but I don't see any problem. If everybody follows their flight plan, then everything is under control.
Barbara?
Barbara Copley, United. This is an issue, I sat through 45 minutes of GRF, and the whole policy was read by their secretary. So I've read every line, and I know it. This is a situation between a commercial, which is GRF, I mean, they own the amenities, and our private shares of our co-op. So they can still get in. They can come in following the streets and go to their clubhouses. But we don't have any open area. You're supposed to fly these things in an open area. We don't have that. It's all residential. It is ridiculous to think that drones should be whipping around here. So I am very much opposed to this. I think it should be split and let the management have what they need for their carrying out of their duties and inspections and whatever is good for them. I mean, that's fine, because it'll be done under our security and it'll be done controlled. But stay out of our lives, for heaven's sake. Do not vote this thing.
Call for a vote.
Okay.
I'm calling for vote.
We need a motion to call for the vote?
No.
No, we don't, okay?
Yes, you do if
Call
she
for the
calls
vote.
for,
Okay, we
takes a
call for the
two-thirds.
vote?
Yeah.
Takes
Okay.
a two-thirds vote.
Okay, all those are in favor
To call for the vote.
to call for the vote? Those opposed to not call for the vote, okay? So we have two-thirds. So now the motion is for approval of the policy for the drones. All those in favor?
You're not in favor?
Those opposed? Yeah, was carried.
We don't need two-thirds
No,
for
you
this.
Don't
This
need
is the final
two-thirds.
vote.
It's a regular vote.
We got two-thirds.
And remember to everybody here and watching, because the FAA controls airspace, they recently, after pressure, confirmed that shooting a drone down out of the sky violates federal law. So just make sure that everybody's aware of that.
Tell Tim.
Can I ask, it was,
Attention.
who all voted against it? It was Steve and Ash
And Gary.
Maggie?
No, I voted for it.
You voted for it. Okay, so it's 3 against and 4 for. 4 to 3. Okay, thank you. Just
Favor of it.
Quickly, we can go over the GRF committee highlights. I would like to go ahead and just mention that the village games are going to be October the 22nd through November 13th. Maggie, do you have anything from Communication Committee?
I already did.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Preparedness for disaster,
We did that.
GRF.
We did that.
Well, that was security and
I got the wrong page, you guys,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
preparedness, that's a united committee.
We're down
Not sure.
to number 23. You're too far into your agenda. You're in.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to report on your GRF committees? No report, okay, great. I want to thank everybody for coming. Pardon me?
Director Forum.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, is there any comments from the directors? Cash?
Well, I do have one comment. We do
Just trying,
exercise our rights to include or increase the association dues. Additionally, we are charging people excess for other things, such as laundry and that I saw today. I think we should not do that. Most people who will be hurt by that will be the elderly people who use this laundry services who are already short of funds. I know 50 cents doesn't mean a lot to most of us, but it means a lot to quite a few of us. And we have to take that into account as well. Thank you.
thank you, Cash. Gary?
Nothing.
Maggie?
Yes, echoing what Cash says, a fee of any kind is a change in the shared cost system. So all of these little things do a little change. They are a change, and it affects the shared cost. Instead of passing all our costs onto all of our people. We are doing it by who uses what. Just be mindful of that. Right now, it's pretty well balanced, but it is an incursion into that territory. As far as the drones go, we will have to live with whatever happens. There is no way to regulate such things. As I said, you can simply open the box on your property and fly it. Nothing says you have to do this or do that. Only we say that, and we would have to enforce you. So we will have to see. Hopefully, all these people won't run down to JCPenney, and I'm sorry I said it right out loud. Okay? As for plants and fruit on the trees, please, if someone is tending to a tree and it has a lovely tree and it has nice lemons and so on, and they don't have a sign up there that says, welcome, pick fruit, some of them do, then be a good neighbor and keep your hands off. Thank you.
Pat. I'd like to thank Janey for a good meeting. This is her first meeting that she's presided over, and she did a darn good job. Thank you, Janey.
Thank you. Juanita.
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell Don, please get better. We miss you. We're sorry about your accident, and we hope you're better soon. And then I'd like to wish Pat a happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
thank you.
One here.
Steve.
If you have an unused carport, put a sign up in the laundry room and your address or your phone number, and work something out that somebody who needs it, and, you know, go on Nextdoor if you're on Nextdoor, and make a few extra bucks a month and get a car out of an unassigned parking space.
Use the trading post.
Okay. Trading post.
No comment here. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Is there any comments at all on any of your GRF committees?
No, we already
No.
know.
Okay, well, no, okay. I just want to thank everybody for joining us on Channel 6 and also here. And this meeting is recessed to be convened to the executive session after lunch, which we're all starved, I'm sure. And our next meeting will be April the 11th at 9:30 at the Laguna Woods City Hall Council meeting chamber where we are today. And thank you. Have a wonderful day. And thank goodness for sunshine.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.